Hello, everybody. I am Mel Barrett, and welcome to Something's Off, a true crime podcast where we question the justice system, basically. Today, we are going to be talking about the entire week of the trial of Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and we're going to get into it on the other side of a very, 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 very quick break. Happy Saturday, everybody. Sorry I'm a little bit late. It is chaos central here at the house. I've got an extra dog with us for the week. Everyone's getting ready to travel for spring break. There is tennis and editing and streaming and dogs and kids and all kinds of stuff going on. So it's been a little bit hectic. Just as I was about to come on live, there was a big dog fight over some food. So everybody's okay. There was no bloodshed, but it got close. So I don't know about you, but I need to take a big, deep breath. How's everyone doing this morning? Let me check out some of these comments. Ooh, that was a lot, y'all. Hello, Simna. Cup you. I'm so glad you're here. Sorry I was late. Sorry. Hey, TC Nerd. Hey, Romado. Hey, Tara. What's up, everyone? What's everyone up to this AM? I hope everyone is having a great morning. I just had my latte, came out so good, and it's everything right now, doing some decluttering. That sounds amazing. I have been in the garage building my little sheed pod, which I'm going to be using hopefully in the very near future, but I'm like covered in band-aids right now because I've been dealing with like sheet metal and stuff. Um oh, Rob, you're so sweet. Thanks for gifting a membership. I love that. Hey Jen, I am so glad to hear that you did a workout. I did not get a workout in this morning and I'm exhausted. I don't have makeup. I don't have hair. It's been literally chaos this morning. Let's see. Doom scrolling on IG. Hey, Mary. TC Nerd, it's very interesting to me which creator the participants choose for interviews. So far, 2 Richens jurors have picked local guy Nate and another ABC Afro man goes with Defense Diaries. That is really interesting. I've been watching all of the interviews, the juror interviews. I've been watching the interviews that Kelsey's family is doing too, which have been super interesting. We're going to talk about that today. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it looks like we have a lot of dog convo this morning. Let's see. Rottweilers. I love Rottweilers. Even Kevin Smith discussed Afro Man on one of his podcasts he used Because I Got High in the credits to his movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Rob said, "Yeah, I think that Jay and Silent Bob were actually in the video for Because I Got High, if I remember correctly." Hey, Dunice. I love his songs. I love Lemon Pound Cake and Lick 'em Low, Lisa. Love them all. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Via. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Cynthia. So glad you all are here. Shenanigans. I love that. Good name. Thank you for the virtual hug. I need it. I'm shaking. I don't know if you've ever so I have a lot of dog experience. I owned a dog walking company for a little over 13 years and grew up around a golden retriever breeder. I've had dogs my whole life. So I'm very well equipped to like sort of recognize the signs of when something's about to like pop off. And I was I also have a friend who's going through something really difficult this morning and she called me just as I was like it was probably about 10-15 minutes before I was about to come on and I knew I needed to be there for her because she's devastated right now. So I wanted to make sure that I could take care of her, but we were winding down the conversation because I was like, I hate to do this, but I do have to run because I have to, I'm streaming this morning. Just as I was like winding that conversation down, I saw one of the dogs head toward one of the food bowls that was supposed to have been blocked off so that they could be separated when they eat, and there was a melee, and I had to, like, drop the phone, drop my coffee, run in, pull the dogs apart, and then come back to my grieving friend and be like, "I'm so sorry," and there's dogs screaming, and the kids just pulled into the driveway or the garage. It was a lot. So, but I'm here and we're going to talk about Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and I'm so glad that you all are here with me, and I love you and appreciate you for your patience. um well, TC nerd, you might miss the shower stall right now, but elements of the shower stall are also going to be in the pod. So, don't worry, it'll be coming back. Alyssa, so glad you're here. First time getting to join the live. I've listened to every episode, but I'm always working, so I never get to listen live. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Jamie. Oh, that's so strange to me that people watch us on the TV. That's weird, but I'm happy about it, but, it would be I mean, I walked into the living room when, my family was watching the Nightline episode, and there I was in that awful mustard yellow sweater, and I was just like, "Okay, I'm leaving now." Tara said, "Take a deep breath, pause, and we are just glad you're here and we're all together." Yeah, I'm getting there, but I'm still like, when you've been I don't know if you've ever been in a physical fight or you've ever like had to break up a dog fight, but it's just like your adrenaline starts going. You don't like I got bitten in the process. That's this one, and you don't even realize like that you have pain until a few minutes later. So, uh, hate skates. Let's see. Mary, said that they haven't seen the family interviews. I'm gonna actually play a portion of one of them for you today from, Justice Served, which was with Kelsey's stepdad. It was really enlightening. He talked actually a lot about, uh, Judge McCarthy Neiman and her decisions and her connections to North Andover. I think personally there's gonna be some investigation, or at least there should be, into the judge. Um he told us a couple of things that we didn't know before, or at least I didn't know before, about some of the judgments and rulings she made about their family, and I was just like, what the hell is going on with this judge?" Cynthia said, "I just wanted to mention that I really, really enjoyed spending most of the week with you guys." I did too. It was really nice. Let's see. Tara said that I have an 11-pound Yorkie, and sometimes we could use an alert like that, the small dog wind alert. Yeah, I love Yorkies. Oh my god, I love Yorkies. But yeah, Ruby got bitten today, and she got bitten yesterday too. And so when it gets a little bit chaotic around here, it's like hard to, explain to everybody like where the gates need to be set up, or what behavior to be on the lookout for so that you can jump in before something happens. She's okay. She didn't get any like she's not injured, but she just got um hammered by an alpha dog basically. So, let's see. Kitty, morning. Anyone watch the Microdots video yet? Every time I hear McCarthy Neiman's voice or Justin's voice, I become enraged. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. We're going to show a couple of clips of it here today, Kitty. It was really good. Although there are some issues that might be coming up that I think that people should be aware of, and some of the anti Karen Reed people have been bringing up online. And I have to say, some of it, I'm worried for Kelsey and her family, based on what some of the antis have been saying. So we'll talk about that as well. And that's what I believe said. So glad you were there to catch the doggos before anything devastating happened. That adrenaline dump is no joke. Yeah. Hey, Becky, that's okay. I was late too. Hey, Gabby, glad you're here. Um, Cynthia also watched the Microdots video and says it's a masterpiece. It's so good. You almost can't tell the difference between the real clips and the ones he created and all the new info. Yep, very good. Denise Kitty had insomnia and watched the whole thing early this AM. Very good. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys have seen the Microdots video. It's really good. Like I said, I'm gonna show you a couple clips from it. One of the things I was trying to find this morning that I swear I saw somewhere, and I can't remember, it must have been in the Microdots video. I'll have to go back and look at it. Excuse me, but there was cell phone video that Kelsey took, of Justin being incredibly inebriated and like falling backwards over a coffee table. And I think we're about to learn a lot more about Mr. Alien, because I also saw a report this morning that he was I don't know if he was arrested, but he got pulled over when he was 19 in New Hampshire and he had some sort of drugs on him. Could have just been weed because, not a big deal now. It's legal, but I don't know. We'll see. Um okay. Cuffy said, I've only seen one interview, so I'll be glad to see the ones you have. And the other dog is not, this is to Amy. The other dog is not Ruby size. The other dog is more like a wolf, who's a very gentle, good, kind wolf. But when it comes to food and, one dog is in another dog's house, there are some boundary issues you got to set up. And then both dogs are going to try to sort of show who the alpha is in that situation. And in this situation, it really should be Ruby because it's her house. Um, and so I think that they just had some miscommunication about who the alpha was, and that's where it went from there. So let's see. Uh, and that's what I believe said. You might have heard this before, but if you slowly clench all your muscles from your toes to your face, hold for a couple of seconds, and then release, it tricks your body into completing the stress cycle. Okay, I just did that. Hopefully that works. Let's see. D Cool said, this is the first time I watched Gavel to Gavel coverage. It was nice to spend that time with this community. Yeah, it was I've watched Gavel to Gavel coverage before, not necessarily with like a law tuber or any of the YouTube creators in the true crime community. But it was the first time I wanted to start with Kelsey's trial. This is what I said, obviously earlier, because I knew it was going to be a short one and I wanted to see how that felt and how, we all talked about it. So it's definitely something that I'm thinking about doing in the future. I don't know if Rebecca's schedule, I don't think her schedule would permit that, but I think that I could probably do it. So it just depends on what case or what trial we cover next. Um, oh, Cuff, I'm so sorry that your Yorkie passed away. That makes me so sad. We lost our Grace, who was another French bulldog, um, almost 2 years ago. Yeah, no, it's been 2 years now. And she was my best friend, my little love. I had her for almost 12 years and she was the best dog besides Ruby. Ruby's pretty amazing. Um, let's see. Jody, hi. Ruby's okay. She's right here. Ruby, let's say hi to everybody so they can see that you're okay. She's fine. She's okay. She's tough. She's a tough cookie. She doesn't weigh a lot and she's just a little girl, but she is very tough. That was hard though, wasn't it? You're not used to getting into it with other dogs because you love other dogs. You love other dogs. And it was so sad that the dog didn't like you in that moment. But it's okay. Okay, go back to sleep. D Cool's average frat boy behavior. Absolutely. Becky, I haven't watched the JS interview yet. I'm psyched I can watch it here with you, Mel Barrett. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we are going to watch bits of it. I think some of the important stuff about the judge mainly. And one of the decisions she made that I didn't know about before that blew my mind. I can't wait to share it with you. Jody said, I listened to you all week while dog walking, both in my ear and my car. Justice for Kelsey. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for listening, you guys. Speaking of which, if you're here right now and you like this content, please go like the video so that we can move up and around the algorithm. Rob said, was away from the keyboard. The mustard thing was not objectively bad. It's just outside of your normal and your comfort zone. So most viewers would not bump up against it. I know. But in the moment, it made me a little bit uncomfortable. And I was really trying to relax into it. Luckily, we did the interview for 7 hours. So I had time to relax into it. But in the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, I feel so uncomfortable in this sweater. I saw, Sarah said, I get the sense Justin is one of those every accusation is a confession people. Yeah, he projects quite a bit, I think. I also saw a graphic of him that's where someone put like a Karen wig on him. And that's exactly, I think he was raised by a Karen and I think he's turned into a Karen. And sadly, I think the entire past, year and a half or so, oh, I guess it's been June 25. So the past almost year of Kelsey's life and this whole debacle, it was all because Justin was a Karen. He was responsible for ramping all of this up and getting us to the place that we are, and it's just, ugh, it's so tragic. Uh, Rob said, "It's not like the shoes cabinet members have been wearing." Something like that. Danielle said they love the Microdots video. Turtle Boy mentioned the other day that we needed Microdots bad on this case, and he came through. He sure did. Let's see. Yeah, I saw the Denise said the Court Chop channel has a family court hearing, which is Justin versus Kelsey from October. I've watched bits and pieces of it. I have a little clip of it up that we can show because one of our commenters was asking if the family court hearing would be um televised, and a lot of people were like, absolutely not, it's family court and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, actually, here's a video from last October. Let's see. If you have a weighted blanket, where did it go? Where did that comment go? Hold on. Kitty said, if you have a weighted blanket, today would be a good day to go under it or go in the shower or tub with super cold water to shock your system. Helps a lot with adrenaline. Yeah, I know. I think this is going to help me a lot with adrenaline too, just sort of like talking and getting my mind off of things and, moving into this. Okay. North Andover Fire Department policy, maybe it's the town that firefighters, paramedics cannot smoke anything. Yeah, absolutely. He is not allowed to. And I think that's actually across the board. I think most firefighters are not, most fire departments are not allowed to smoke anything because it impairs their judgment and it impairs their reaction time. Ruby Doo. Tara said, not sure if anyone knows the Pikerton massacre case, and I feel like Justin's mom is like the controlling grandmother who was trying to force custody to her son. Scary. I also even though I haven't seen a lot of her on video or audio, or I haven't heard a lot of audio, she reminds me a little of Donna Adelson. Microdots video, they put out, I don't know if you don't know Microdots or you don't know which video we're talking about, Cuff You, but Microdots was the guy responsible for putting out all of the Karen Reed, the breakdown of evidence, like really good high quality video. And he has done one for about Kelsey as well. It's a pretty comprehensive case breakdown and like human behavior breakdown. So I'm gonna play bits and pieces of it for you. Bite My Bit said, I'm behind, but when I hate when my dogs get into a fight. I have one shit starter, but it's always over food. It gives me bad anxiety. I hate it so much. Yeah, it's always hard. Food is difficult, even when you have the most docile dogs. Like Ruby loves other dogs. Like loves to play, loves to hang out, loves people. And the other dog that we have that we're doggy sitting right now is a very sweet, good, lovely little girl. And she loves people, but she hasn't been around a lot of dogs. So she stayed with us before and they got along fine, but there is always an issue over the food. So we have to sort of keep everyone separated. Hey, Journeys of Peace. Hey, Cassie. Um, let's see. Yep, watched the Microdots video, had me in tears. I TC Nerd is wondering, was the October video the one where Justin was told he could not get all of the proceeds from the house sale and lied about how far he lives from North Andover? I didn't watch the whole thing. I would assume so. I think it's probably the only I think it's the only family court hearing that I know of, but I could be wrong. Let's see. It did happen. Yeah, the televised family court thing did happen. I put a link um on one of the comments. I can try to find it while I'm on with you all and put it in here too. I heard that Richie from Microdots is actually very close to the Fitzsimmons Page family, and that's where he got some of the information. Yeah, Cynthia said that, and I think that I don't know if there's going to be a problem with some of that. We'll talk about it though. Honey Kid said, after the fact, how many times did he have to tell them he was going to escalate things before the cops got the fact that if her family showed up, he would attack them at her house? Um, Yes, but that audio happened after Kelsey was already shot, and he was talking about escalating things, and when Justin says escalate things, I don't necessarily think he means a physical confrontation, because he immediately was like they were like, "Well, what do you mean by escalation?" And he was like, "Well, I'm going to the media," you know? I mean, ugh. Oh, thanks for the gifted membership, Cassie. That's amazing. Yeah, TC Nerd said Microdots did the waterfall video that they then used in the second Reed trial. That is true. My stepsister works at NIH and her husband is a police officer. Somehow their dog got a hold of THC and they don't know how because both said they'd lose their jobs just for gummies. Oh no. Journeys of Peace. That is crazy. But dogs the other problem with the gummies too is not just like the THC, but in some gummies there's aspartame, and aspartame is like an almost immediate killer for dogs, especially smaller dogs. So if you have like sugar-free gum and your dog is a chow hound, like treat hound, just be careful because sugar-free gum and toothpaste and things like that are really bad for dogs. Yeah, Denise, I felt the same. I was kind of shocked, that the family trial, the family court hearing was there. Denise said, "It doesn't seem like the public has any right to watch that, but if it's out there, Imma watch it." Yeah, I understand. Hey, Danielle, when I listen to Justin's calls to the police department, all I think in my head is, "I hate that man, I truly hate him." Do we know in the chat who said that and from what trial? I know, and Imma see if you know. Good morning, Cindy Lou. Cassie, did you give 2 memberships? That's so lovely of you, thank you. Let's see. The media. I bet they hate that we all hate him. Do they have kids? Does who have kids? I'm answering your question, honey kid, sorry. Becky said, "I've never seen someone petition the court for future support based on a temporary custody order. General rules and the word no don't apply to Jalen. I think that's mom talking for him. Some of the background that I've picked up on in the past week or so is that his mother has been a foster mom for a long time, and she sort of knows the ins and outs of the family court system. So I think when anything like that happens, it sounds like it's his mom advising him, but I could be wrong. That's just conjecture. Proctor about Yannetti. Proctor, trial one, Karen Reed. Amy said, "I'm allergic to aspartame. I better check the edibles." You better check those edibles, girl. Um, Bite My Bit said, "One of my favorite things about YouTube is meeting pets. I totally think about Mel as Ruby's mom. I am her mom. She's my baby." Journeys of Peace. I think whatever was given to Microdots was given with the attorney's approval. I'm not sure if that's okay, though. That's the thing we got to figure out. Okay. Speaking of all that, thanks for everybody being here. I appreciate and love you all. Maureen was awesome. Speaking of dog parents, Maureen was the stellar. So here's what I'm gonna do. A lot of you were with me during the trial. Um, yeah, xylitol is extremely dangerous for dogs as well. It's not just aspartame, but xylitol is horrible for dogs. Um, a lot of you were here and watched the whole trial with me. What I'm gonna do is sort of a Cliff Notes version day 1 through day 4. And then I'm going to show some bits of video to go along with everything. And then we're going to talk about some newer stuff that we've learned this week and some of the interviews that have happened since Thursday. And then if there's anything else that you think I've missed or you want me to cover, let me know and we'll talk about that too. Becky said she is professionally involved in sub-abuse custody matters and the courts. Justin is not very bright and has a very limited verbal repertoire of buzzwords. Yeah, I think you're talking about his mom, I would assume. Um, yeah, of course they I mean, I know that so Turtle Boy and Richie from Microdots are obviously very, very, very close. Turtle Boy was, at the trial this whole week and is getting close to Kelsey's family. And Richie has been putting out there that he's been working on this Kelsey video for a long time. And it's obvious that he got some of the footage and audio from Kelsey or her family. So, yeah, I think it's great. But the issue is, well, we'll get to it when we talk about the Microdots video. I don't wanna, like, jump into that now because it could go on for a really long time. Okay. Where is Caden? Who has been caring for him? Caden is with Justin and his family. So, yeah, I don't know how that's going. I feel so awful that Kelsey hasn't seen her baby in a year, over a year, or close to a year, I guess. Okay, she does have crap friends. I would agree with you on that one. Yeah, Justin has temporary custody. Okay. So, starting with opening statements and initial witnesses on the first day, um, a couple of interesting things happen. You all saw it when you were sitting with me, but uh I mean Bettero. This is what I did the first time I talked about Kelsey and everybody came at me, and it's just because Bettero and Bradle are so close and they both work with Turtle Boy and yada yada. Bradle stood up and said, "Hey, judge, by the way, can you just go ahead and repeat the whole sequestration order that you made, that any witnesses or sort of witness adjacent people, meaning family, friends that are, could report back to the witness, can you ask them to please leave the courtroom because there are a lot of them here?" And there was this like awkward moment where everybody was like, "Uh-oh, who's in the courtroom?" And the judge was like looking at the gallery and he was like, "Okay, well, yeah, I made a sequestration order, so y'all need to leave. It's very simple. Okay, let's move on." And then they worked out a couple of more procedural things, and then just before opening statements, so the Commonwealth was gonna go first. They go first and they go last in Massachusetts. So they sort of open the case and they close the case. And just before Goobertoes was about to get up and do his closing, Bradle stood up and said, "Hey, judge, just I have one more thing I want to bring up. So that sequestration order that you mentioned for the second time a few minutes ago, it's not being followed. So would you mind enforcing it for us?" And eventually the Judge Carp got up and he was pissed. Like you could tell this guy's pretty even keel and like happy good guy, and he was like, "I'm not sure why this wasn't clear to those of you sitting in the gallery, but if you are a witness or witness adjacent family friend, you need to leave the courtroom now. And when you go outside, don't go on all these live streams and listen to what's happening in the courtroom." And that's exactly what they did. So the people that were in the courtroom were Justin adjacent people for the most part. I think some cops too. So they went outside. There was video footage of it, what looked like, I think, Justin's dad and one of his sisters listening to the trial, listening to the arguments, the opening arguments on their cell phone. Obviously, nothing really can be done about it because, we're past it now, but the audacity. I kept saying that on day one. I'm like, the audacity of this family. Like the rules don't apply to them ever, and they just didn't care, and they just stayed. When the judge said get out, they stayed. And when he finally was like, "No, seriously, get out," they went outside and they listened. And it's just like, what are you going to do with these kind of people? So there was the discovery dispute as well. Tim Bradle was pushing for, there was a missing interview statements from an independent CIC report that was commissioned by the North Andover Police Department. North Andover wasn't handing over what they should have been handing over, and I don't think he really got what he needed. There was also, and this becomes important later, there was a motion, Bradle made a motion to have a view of Kelsey's house. They had gotten in touch with the new owners, and they had, like, a soft yes or a maybe at this point in time. I thought that was really smart on Bradle's part, to bring that up, because what it did was it put it in the judge's mind on day 1, you really need to focus on the layout of this house. It's very pertinent to this case. So, he said he would rule on it a little bit later. He didn't seem inclined to want to do it, because I think it takes a lot of court resources to do a view, and since there was no jury, I guess it would be a little bit easier because there was no jury, but he said he would think about it. So, we got to then opening statements where, the prosecution basically Gubitosi got up and argued that Kelsey had lied to officers about her guns being in the basement, which is something I didn't know about, and it was something that came up throughout the trial. Um and it became important, and actually, I think it became important for the defense, to be honest with you. Um, but they claimed that she waited until she was alone with Officer Noonan, grabbed her service weapon, pointed it at his face. There was a really funny line that came out of that Bradel said, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and she pulled the trigger. The gun clicked, it dry fired, and as she attempted to clear the gun, which was like a tap rack, Noonan fired 2 shots to protect himself. So that's their whole case, right? This was a really simple case. I know it sounds complicated because of all the things that happened outside of this bedroom, meaning what happened in Maine, what happened with the restraining order, what happened with, the day before, like, the day of the restraining order, all of the drama that was going on, the breakup of the relationship, everyone being drunk, Justin being high, the break into the house, all that stuff. What this case came down to was that single minute, basically, of what happened in the bedroom between Kelsey and Noonan, and that's what the judge would have to rule on. That's what was before him. So, then the defense got up, and Bradel argued that this was a suicide in progress, and that Kelsey was overwhelmed by losing her baby, her fiancé, her house, her dog, her child, everything, her job. I think I said job, everything. And it happened all in the span of just a few minutes. She was completely blindsided by it, completely blindsided, had no idea it was about to happen. Um, and he also argued that Kelsey was actually trying to get the officers away from her while she was in her bedroom because she wanted to be alone to unalive herself, basically. And then Bradel was claiming that Noonan basically had adjusted the narrative to save his career, pointing out that the gun was found under her leg when she fell backward, which contradicts her pointing it forward. There's some maneuvering that could happen here. I think he was stretching a little bit when he was talking about the gun being under her leg, although it stuck out to me for a little while. My take on Noonan and the story is that he made a bad decision, felt guilty about it, and his brain started to justify why he pulled the trigger. I mean, that's really the simplest explanation of what happened. Um, but those are the 2 cases they laid out. The defense is saying Kelsey was trying to be alone in the room so that she could unalive herself, and just as she was about to do that, Noonan saw what was happening and pulled the trigger. But he says that she pointed the gun at him right in his face and pulled the trigger, which is not true, by any stretch, I think, in my opinion. Okay. First person up. The first witness for the prosecution was Sean Daly, who is the lieutenant, who's Kelsey's lieutenant, who's Noonan's lieutenant, and who ultimately is Houston's lieutenant. Those are the 3 men that showed up on Kelsey's doorstep that fateful day. Um, Basically, Daly testified about serving the restraining order, and then he stated he made the point that Kelsey was, like, initially calm, but that she started to escalate after Justin arrived to take the baby. Now, Kelsey is saying she didn't know that Justin was there. So, and that can be true because she was upstairs when Justin got there. Um, Daly also said that he heard Noonan say, "Kelsey, don't do it," followed by 2 shots. He testified that he found Kelsey on her back with the gun next to her leg, even though in the report it said it was under her leg. And he knew it was under her leg because he's the one who rolled her over to see if there was an exit wound. He's the one who saw the gun under her. So I'm not sure why he testified in court this week. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know why, because they are trying to make the case for that Noonan was the victim here. He also testified that Kelsey said, "I'm sorry, I want to die." And then Daly's cross-examination by Bradel highlighted a lot of really bad decisions. So basically, the way that this story was explained, Justin and his sister went down to the courthouse. They filed for the restraining order. Once the restraining order was approved, it was then faxed over to the North Andover Police Department. Justin, well, actually, let me back up. Kelsey had already been texting and messaging with Justin all day. Um, he had apparently on the phone said that he wanted to go, like, for a walk with her and the baby. So she suggested, "Hey, let's go to the park." He said, "I can't. I don't have any gas money. I don't have any gas money. I don't have any gas money." They went back and forth all day long about this thing. Kelsey had to be at North Andover PD to do her last training, her CPR training, before she was to go back on active duty. She was asking Justin if he could come watch the baby. Justin was refusing to come to the house and was saying, "If you want me to watch the baby, then bring him to me." And I'm like, "Dude, stop acting like a babysitter and start acting like a father." But Kelsey was like, "Nope, that's fine. I will just take the baby to work with me and I will work with the baby on me," basically. And so she went to go do her CPR training. Everybody was totally fine, normal with her, happy to see her. Everyone was holding the baby. But the one interesting thing is, um, Simna, I'm sorry, I just saw this comment. I will answer your question, and I will return to it in just a moment. The baby was there. And the baby was taken out of the house by the baby was held by almost every adult in the house at by the time it was taken out of the house. Um, where was I? Right. Uh, Everyone at North Andover PD knew what was about to happen. They knew about the restraining order. They knew it was going to happen, and nobody said anything. Which, that's fine. They're not really supposed to. But the one thing they did do was when Kelsey asked to get her radio so she could go back on active duty and have all of her equipment, they said, "Yeah, let's hold off on that." And that was strange. Kelsey went to go meet Justin in the park at 2 o'clock, I think it was, which is when he said he would be there. He never showed, even though he had called her to say, "I'm on my way to North Andover. I will meet you in the park at 2 o'clock. My mommy gave me some gas money." He never showed. She sat in the park for over 2 hours until she finally went home. And there is, Ring camera footage from Chelsea's or Kel I'm sorry, not Chelsea, Kelsey's, exterior of her house, of her returning home, holding the baby in the car seat carrier and bringing the baby into the house, and then minutes later, um, the cops show up. And the reason why they showed up minutes later is because Justin had met them in the lobby of the North Andover Police Department while Kelsey was waiting for him. He was at the police department telling them that they needed to be careful with her because he wouldn't be surprised if she would shoot the baby right in front of them, is what he said, which is escalating the situation again. And this is on the heels of 2 other phone calls that Justin had made to a lieutenant at the North Andover Police Department with his sister, making sure that Kelsey had no idea the restraining order was happening and that she's liable to pop off and, she's crazy and blah, 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 blah. Hysterical woman, that whole thing. So, the reason they knew that Kelsey was coming back to the house is because Justin had access to the Ring cameras on his phone, and so he was telling them, "Hey, she's back at the house." So when they drove over there, they noticed that Kelsey's car was parked at the school next door, which was odd because she normally parked in the driveway. And all of the cops brought this up in their testimony because they thought she was acting weird. Kelsey, however, thought everyone else was acting weird because she had driven by, um, Justin's friend's Hunter's house and saw Justin's truck and all of her friends and his friends over there. And she had driven by because it was on her way to work. When she saw that, she started getting very uneasy. She didn't know what was going on. She thought something weird might be happening. Her friends were calling her and being like, "Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee," like out of the blue. And she was like, "Something weird's going on." So she parked away from the house so that none of them would know that she was home. The cops took that as some kind of nefarious something or other. I never really figured that part out. Um, but anyway, the cops show up and daily we've seen this video before, Kelsey comes to the door and Daly sticks his boot in the door and says, "Hey, we got to talk to you." And it's Daly, Noonan, and Houston. And she's like, "Yeah, of course." She's holding the baby. "Come on in." So I think I'm just going to run down. No, maybe I'll stay where we are right now. Okay. So back to testimony. So that's what we have so far is that Kelsey is in the house with the 3 cops. Her mom had been there, but was running to CVS to pick up some stuff. She called her mom, and one of the things that Daly testified to was that Kelsey called her mom and said, "Mom, they're gonna take the baby." And Daly corrected her and said, "We're not gonna take the baby. Justin is gonna take the baby." Which, I mean, dude, like, have a moment of, like, humanity. Like, that's not something that you say, you know what I mean? It's just weird. So, she asked for her mom to come back as quickly as she can. Meanwhile, Justin and his sister Courtney are on their way over there as well, which is ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, that the person who filed a restraining order against this woman is now gonna be invited into the house to take her baby from her. Crazy. And no DCF, no child protective services, no mental health professionals, even though Justin had been telling everyone that Kelsey was off her rocker and was gonna kill the baby or somebody else. So, that leads us into the next witness, who was Courtney Alien. She is just like just like Justin. She testified about helping him file a restraining order. I think she was the one that was on the phone being like Karen number 2 when they were talking to the lieutenant about whether Kelsey was going to know about this and what if she crosses state lines with the baby. I just want to make it clear where Kelsey lives in North Andover is like it's like 8 minutes to the border of New Hampshire. This is like right there. Like you drive into New Hampshire and you're back into Massachusetts. It's ridiculous. Um, Courtney testified that she went with Justin to the house, and that they walked into the house and got the baby, and she brought the baby out, and then she heard 2 gunshots, boom, boom, and she started running with the baby down the street. She didn't know where her brother was or what was going on. And she was called out, by Bradle in in the cross because basically, you know, she said that we knocked on the door when we got there and officers let us in. But that wasn't actually true. And so Bradle was like, "Oh, really? That's what you did? Here, let me show you this video." And the video shows her and Justin just like bursting into the house, like walking in like they own the place. And, you know, that was that. So, not much came from Courtney other than her attitude, and she was, you know, she was pretty snarky, and that's what we expect. She got off the stand, and then I remember while we were watching going, "Oh my god, it's Justin," because I don't think I expected him. I wasn't sure if he was gonna testify, and then 2, I don't think I expected him on day 1, but here he is with his I don't even know, his voice, it was too much for me. Um so Justin gets on the stand and he testifies about obtaining the restraining order, arriving at the house, and then well, first of all, he went into the house and then Kelsey's mom was there. Kelsey was upstairs with Noonan and Houston. And Kelsey's mom handed the baby to Justin, and then Justin handed the baby to Courtney. And then Courtney walked out with the baby. Justin grabbed the car seat and started to follow her out. And then he came back into the house and said, "Hey, I just need to get my stuff out of the basement." Now, keep in mind what I brought up earlier when the prosecution in their opening said that she lied to them about where her guns were. Kelsey told the police when they got there, because part of this restraining order was that they needed to remove her guns. She told them the guns were in the basement. The guns were not in the basement. The guns were upstairs in the bedroom. Um, so one of my questions will always be, if the cops had done what they were supposed to do in this situation, why would they allow the man who had filed a restraining order against this woman? Why would they have allowed him to go into the basement where Kelsey said the guns were? They also, before anything happened in this house, they should have secured those guns. That should have been the first thing that they did. And instead, they didn't do that. They let the guy who filed the restraining order come into the house and go into the basement where they were told the guns were. And he went down there by himself. He was left alone to go down there into the basement. Justin said while he's in the basement, he heard, oh, I just want to get this right. Let me look at my notes. Um, I think he heard Kelsey stop or Kelsey no, and then he heard 2 gunshots. And then they played the video in court of Justin scrambling in the basement, flying out of the basement, doing a slip, trip, fall, pirouette, and then running for his life. And I thought, wait, this is a first responder? This doesn't seem right. So that video, I think he's gonna probably be made fun of for a long time for that video because he was terrified and running from the scene. Um, in his cross-examination, Bradel kept it tight, very tight, but he also definitely impeached Justin. It damaged Justin's credibility, in my opinion. He got Justin to admit that he only held his baby for 50 seconds, despite claiming he'd been terrified for the child's safety. This was on the previous night he had come by to get his own guns. Kelsey had asked him to leave his grandfather's safe, which was the green chest that was upstairs in the bedroom, because she needed a place to store her firearms. He went into the safe, got his own guns out of it, put her guns on the bed, didn't even lock them back up, and walked out. This is the man who's the next day is going to file a restraining order saying he's terrified of her hurting his child, and he walked into the house and took her guns out of the safe and set them on the bed. Just open. If she wanted to do something, they were sitting right there. The guns were then put back in the safe by Kelsey, I would assume. But during that time that Justin was in the house, Kelsey kept going, "Don't you want to hold your baby? Don't you want to hold your baby?" And eventually he did hold the baby, but he only held the baby for 50 seconds and then he gave the baby back. In his cross examination, when Bradel tried to get him to admit to that, he was like, "No, I didn't do that." And so then Bradel had to sort of quote out the whole thing. And then finally he got Justin to be like, "Yeah, well, I guess it was 50 seconds, basically." Um, and then he also got Justin to confirm that he is on administrative leave from the North Andover Fire Department due to allegations of drug and alcohol abuse. He didn't go into much more than that. He kept it really simple. I think everybody was disappointed. They wanted him to, but again, as a reminder, this case is really only about what happened in that bedroom, not all the shit that Justin has stirred up outside of what happened in that bedroom. But all the shit that he did stir up is what led to that bedroom. So there is an argument for it. And that was all we got for day 2. Now, let me see if I have a video for you. Hold on a second. I think we'll hold all of that to the end, actually. Well, no, let's play just briefly. I want to play some of the calls that Justin made leading up to leading up to the restraining order and then what happened after the restraining order. So, let's take this. We're only going to do a few seconds of this because these are really long calls. Let me share the screen with you. I got these. The audio first came from Broken Baker. And I was so appreciative of him. Play yet. I was so appreciative that he got these videos, and then Emily C took it a step further, and she cut out a lot of the hold time music and all that stuff. So, these are the videos that I'm choosing to play just because they're shorter, basically. So, Justin made a phone call to Lieutenant Scott Whitaker. This is what I went over in the leading in the pretrial recap. So, I'm just gonna play a few seconds of this so you can get the tone and understand what was happening on that day before all these people showed up at Kelsey's house and tore her world apart.
Whitaker back. I just missed his call, unfortunately.
Hear it?
Yeah, Justin, it's me.
Oh, okay. How you doing, sir? I had a couple quick questions for you again.
Yeah.
So she's messaging me telling me that she's planning on taking the baby up to the land in New Hampshire. Do I have any rights to make sure that she does not leave with that child?
New Hampshire. It's literally next door.
At this point, I don't think we do. I've spoken to my superior.
She's the mother.
Yeah.
Filled him in on everything that we talked about, and we don't really have the right to deny her child.
Right.
Do I have any rights as the father to obtain my child since she's had him for several
Obtain
nights now?
my
Do I have any
child.
right to, hey, this is the custody. We're both parents here. It's almost my turn to have the kid for the night, so I
Jesus.
can know that he's safe and I can go file these after.
Through the police department, no, we don't have that ability. The only way that you would be able to do that if you spoke directly to her and said, you know,
But
I'd
he's too
like
much
some
of a
time
pussy to do
with the
that.
baby. And if she agrees to that, great. But it sounds like she's
Not gonna
probably
Obtain
not
allow it.
gonna be. Yeah.
the child.
I have my sister who's
Hey
had a
there.
quick question for you as well.
This is
Yeah.
Courtney.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this. And so I'm
I've seen a
on
lot
the
of
page of we
this.
need to get the baby out of her hands like now or something really bad could happen. And I know you guys
Do you see
talked
what
a bit
they're
about
doing?
this, but I am just wondering, is there any difference if he were to try to take, or if she were to try to take the baby out of the state? Does that go against anything? Because that's what she's threatening with. Does the
New
state
Hampshire.
matter at all? The state lines?
It really
Okay, I'm going to pause it. So that's really all we need to hear because what you hear them doing is needlessly escalating this situation, getting all the cops really nervous that this woman is unhinged. She's going to do something crazy, y'all. She's going to do something crazy. She's hysterical. She was on maternity leave. She was suffering from postpartum depression. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody told the cops that she was sectioned when she wasn't sectioned. So all the cops that went into this thought, well, she's already been sectioned, and when I say somebody told them, I'm assuming it was Justin or his sister. She's already been sectioned. We may have to section her again. We probably are going to section her again. That's what they thought going into this, right? So, and then the other calls happen after the shooting. So this is the one that led up to it. This is the one that always sticks out to me
really it really
because
doesn't. It's her
oh,
child.
sorry.
It does.
Okay. So keeps playing. All right. So let's go back to my notes. All right, we're going to go into day 2. Actually, let me look at some of these comments and then we will come back to it. Oh, there's a lot of them. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's see. Proctor about Unity. Okay. Mary said Justin's father and paternal grandfather are lawyers, so they may have helped. Yeah. I mean, I think he had a lot of help. I think his family has a lot of connections to this area. Cops, fire, lawyers, the court system, family court, probate, Judge McCarthy Neiman, which we'll get into in a minute. Yeah, a lot of connections in this area, and they use those connections. And it just reminds me again of these small Massachusetts towns where families like the Aliens and families like the McCabe's have a lot of sway in the community and they use it. They use it for power. They use it to get past speeding tickets. They use it to get out of hit and run accidents. They use it to get someone's child taken away from them. I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And if you're sort of an outsider, you don't know those rules, so you just kind of like you get blindsided by it. I want to go back to Simna's comment about the baby. Where was the baby during the pew-pewing? I didn't see him in any of the adults' arms leaving the house. So the baby went from, let me see if I can remember this right. The baby went from Kelsey holding the baby and feeding the baby when the cops showed up to the baby going into a carrier. They asked her to put the baby in a carrier while they were talking to her in the living room. The baby was crying because she had been in the middle of feeding Caden. And so she was like, I need to pick my baby up and continue feeding him, and so she did that. Eventually she handed the baby to Noonan, and Noonan, that's really important that Kelsey chose Noonan out of the three people, the three cops that were in the room with her. She chose Noonan to give him the baby to hold while she started gathering things to pack for Caden to go away for what they were telling her was going to be about 2 weeks. She chose Noonan, she said, because, well, actually, we'll get to that. She chose Noonan. And then Noonan didn't feel comfortable holding the baby, so he handed the baby off to Houston, the other officer. Houston didn't have any experience with babies, but he was kind of like walking around and bouncing the baby. There's footage of Houston coming out onto the sun porch or the screened-in porch, bouncing the baby when Kelsey's mom shows up, and she immediately takes the baby from him, goes into the house. A few minutes later, Justin and Courtney show up, and you see Courtney come out with the baby and Justin follows her with a car seat. So Courtney is the one who had the baby when Kelsey was shot. And what we know from Courtney's testimony is that she sprinted off down the street going I don't know where, and I don't know why she didn't go to her car, but she just ran with the baby down the street. And so that's where the baby was when his mother was shot. Let's see. Where is Kaden? I answered that one already. She has crap friends. Yes, she does. Um, they are so entitled. Yes, they are. Cindy Lou. Becky said Gramps was a judge, I thought. Could be more than likely. Cynthia, 6/30/25 was the last day Kelsey saw Kaden. So this Monday, 3/30/26, will make exactly 9 months since mother and baby were together. It literally makes me nauseous to think about it, about if that had been me. Yeah. Cuff said, I loved Judge Karp. He was amazing and so diligent and respectful to both the prosecution and the defense. Lid 1787, glad you're here. Good morning from the West Coast. What a pleasant surprise to see you streaming this AM. Going back to watch from the beginning at 2x speed to catch up. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Cindy Lou said they weren't there for the verdict, right? Why do they hate her so much? I feel bad for baby C. The hatred energy is no bueno for a growing baby. I do worry about that baby. Let's see. TC Nerd said that Mazza sat by Noonan during closing and when the verdict was announced. Yeah, that's very interesting. That pic of Mazza was gold. Sure was, Cindy. Okay. Cuff You said, does anyone feel like Noonan should face charges? I don't think he will, but I'm just curious. Should he? I don't think he will. I think that there are civil suits that can happen. And I think that based on the post-trial conference that Bradel and Martha Coakley did, there's a lot more coming from this. So I'm going to show you that video as well, at least parts of it. Let's see. Cops are trained to aim center mass, not the face. Good point, Pimabo. And we're going to get into that in depth in just a moment. I'm partway into the Microdots video about Kelsey, and I'm blown away by the behavior leading up to this. Who needs enemies with friends like hers? Ellie said. Yeah, exactly. Her friends just they flipped on her, including one of the things that I found interesting, and I had heard this before, but I didn't really know if it was true, was that not only were her friends and Justin trying to get like everyone in the town to turn on her and act like she was this crazy person, they also reported that she had hit and run one of Justin's friends on the way out of Maine. And it wasn't actually her. It was a car that looked like the car that she was in. So they were even being like, "Oh, and so she also hit and ran one of our friends. Like she's crazy. She's capable of anything, this woman." It's just like, "Come on, you guys." Um TC Nerd, this is a good question. Will the wedding party double down like the House defendants, or will they figure it out that Justin is a lying liar? Who lies? I don't know. It will be interesting to see. Although, based on the testimony of one of her friends in this trial, I'm going to go ahead and say they are leaning the McAlbert route. She was one of the most hostile witnesses since Kelly Dever that I have seen on the stand. Okay. TC Nerd said, if you think about it, Noonan had the tactical gloves, and it was probably his responsibility to secure the guns. So many mistakes. They should have secured those guns. They should have walked into the house and said, "Hey, Kelsey, this is why we're here. This is what's going to happen. Tell us where your guns are. We're going to go secure the guns." First thing. Second thing, there should have been someone from DCF. There should have been a mental health counselor with them. And Justin should have never stepped foot, let alone his sister. Justin and his sister never should have set foot in that house. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on just a second. This is one of the kiddos calling, and I just want to make sure Oh, sorry about that. Kiddos having car issues, but everything's okay. We are having a chaotic day today in the household. Um, let's see. Okay, let me get back to these comments. Cynthia said, I literally hate Justin, but I hate thinking this. Is it possible that he had no gas money because he left his debit card with Kelsey over the weekend? Not that he's a totally broke dick. He says it to Kay. Yeah, that's totally a possibility. Um, absolutely. I do think he also had money problems though. I think that's sort of come out recently. I think that's why he took the $5,000 in cash that was set aside for their wedding venue. Um, because he needed the cash. I mean, he's living at home with his parents now. So I think he has some sort of money issues, but I don't know. We didn't really get into that in court, so I can't really say. They did not secure the pew pews, strange credulity. They did not. Let's see. Yeah, and that's what I believe said. They are so similar with their behavior language. You can tell that the mom trained them thoroughly. Yep, I agree with that. Bite my bits. Everyone was like calm, cool, collected. I think Noonan was the most inappropriate choice. And then to find out they do have a mental health cop, like what? Yeah, they could have done. The problem is that they weren't taking two things were happening. Justin and his family were escalating and making everyone think everything was going to be crazy. And then Daly, the lieutenant who was, in charge of this operation, wasn't taking any of it seriously. He was just like, "Yeah, she's a cop. Everything's going to be fine. Sure, we don't have to secure the guns. Sure, Justin and his sister can come into the house. Yeah, her mom too. Yeah, let's bring 3 cops, her mom, Justin and his sister, and then just let the guns be out there somewhere." Like Daly, I feel like is partially responsible for this because at the end of the day, even if Noonan is going, I saw a gun and I shot. And maybe I shot too fast. Maybe, he's justifying why this happened. Cause I don't think he went in there and thought, I want to shoot Kelsey in the chest today. But he saw a gun and it was a tiny room and he shot his weapon. That is pretty much what happened. But he wouldn't have been put in that situation if Daly had done what he was supposed to do, or if the courts had said, hey, we need more information about why we need more than just the one side of this restraining order to understand why we should be taking a 4-month-old child away from its mother. So many parts of the system and process failed to put Noonan and Kelsey both in the situation that they are in. That's my take on it. Yeah, Courtney said she saw smoke and heard an explosion. The explosion was the gunfire. She did see smoke. Guns do smoke when they're fired, but one of the reasons why she saw smoke is because Noonan shot the air conditioner with the first shot that he took, and it went. We don't know where the projectile went, so I think she saw the air conditioner smoking. That's what she was seeing on the outside. Cynthia said Courtney alien equals Timu Courtney Kardashian and Wednesday Adams had a baby. Yep. Let's see. His nasal weasel voice. Yeah, he has the worst voice. Cuff said, Mel, yes, I mean, that was the purpose of the RO. I don't remember what we were talking about, but hey, thanks for, agreeing with me, I guess. Nobody was really afraid of Kelsey. Yeah, because she was this tiny little thing. Let's see. Yeah, so this is part of the Microdots video. We'll talk about it in a little bit, bite my bits. But did anyone see his other sister's picture? That girl came at Kelsey and had to be locked out of the Airbnb, and Kelsey basically fled to get away from her. These people are a nightmare. Yes. There was a lot more about the main excursion in the Microdots video, including that everyone was drunk and that there was a big fight. Kelsey, I believe, has said that the reason she and Justin were fighting is because he was so drunk, which I'm going to show you some audio of Justin being drunk another time and sort of berating Kelsey. But Kelsey says they got into a fight because he was so drunk and he wanted to do drugs and she was asking him not to. And that's what they were fighting about. And I'm not sure when it turned physical, but Justin says she punched him in the face 3 times, and that's why he made the restraining order. So, um, not weird the police need to keep the record straight. Police are not taking the baby. It is weird because it escalated the situation further, in my opinion, Marlboro. For them to be listening to a phone conversation that Kelsey is having with her mom saying, "They're about to take my baby," and there's no need actually for him there's no need for Daly to say anything in that moment because Kelsey isn't saying the cops are gonna take my baby. He chose to correct her. He chose in that moment to correct her and say, "Hey, we're not doing it. When the cops aren't taking your baby. Justin's taking your baby." It's just there was no need for it. No need to even put that on the record. Keep your mouth shut. You don't know what she's talking about. Also, now you're escalating it saying, "Oh, by the way, Justin's gonna come get the baby from you." After Kelsey had just experienced the night before, Justin barely wanting to even hold his own child. Let's see. Don't know what oh, that's a different comment. Sorry. Rumpled Foreskin said, "Super late last service somewhere in Mammoth Cave, Kentucky on a road trip, but I'm here now. I'll have to listen to the rest." Oh, glad you're here. Chastity said, "Justin's the catalyst, but Noonan's the victim. Insert goober toes, air quotes." Yeah. Okay. While I'm going through some of these comments, if you guys wouldn't mind liking the video and subscribing and sharing it with your friends, I would really appreciate it. And also, I don't know if Amanda's here, but if Amanda's here, tell her thank you for all the chapter updates because she's amazing. She does all the chapters for us, and I really appreciate her. Okay. Rumbled Foreskin said, "Justin thinks no rules of civility applied to him when he wants something, and that is somehow an emergency for everyone around him. No, dipshit. You can't get an emergency RO. You have to go to court." Yeah. I mean, that's his general feeling. I think that's what was taught to him, that he's entitled to whatever the fuck he wants. He is a precious, precious boy. Um, okay. I'm gonna have to get through. Okay. Let's see. As soon as I heard that Justin worked at the wilderness camp, I thought, so that's how it is in their family. They were probably also proud of him for that. Yeah, and that's what I believe said. That also stuck out to me because I'm like, oh man, he probably learned like torture and corporal punishment and all kinds of crazy shit. Um, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pause the comments here and get back to day 2. All right, so day 2, there were sequestration violations. So the alien family who were kicked out on day 1 were standing outside of the courtroom doors listening to the live stream. Judge Karp issued another stern warning. These people don't care about rules. They want to do what they want to do, and that's the end of that. That's it. That's what happens in this town apparently. Witness let's see. Justin was the last witness. Witness number 4. This was the big day. This was a very big day. Because Patrick Noonan, the alleged victim in this case, took the stand. He detailed his extensive military and nuclear security and SWAT training to establish him as a calm, deliberate professional, except for the fact that that testimony didn't help him or the prosecution because what he did was not a calm nor deliberate action, even though they were like, look at all this training he has in being calm and deliberate. And then he didn't act calm and deliberate and shot somebody in the chest. So, yeah. He also this is where the story gets very hazy. This is the whole kit and caboodle right here. Really, the only testimony that matters is what Noonan says and what Kelsey says. So when Noonan testified, this is what he said happened. He was told the guns were in the basement. He did not check to see if the guns were in the basement. He was tasked with following Kelsey around and keeping her in pocket, meaning keeping her in his sight at all times. So, this house is tiny, right? So when you walk in the front door, you're in a screened in sunroom. Then you go through the front door. Directly in front of the front door, once you walk in the house, is a set of stairs that goes up. To the left, I believe, is the living room. I don't know. Oh, to the right, I believe, is the the basement. You go through the living room to get to the kitchen, right? If you go up those stairs that are right in front of you at the door, to the left is the baby's nursery. To the right is the master bedroom. The landing at the top of those stairs is enough for one, maybe one and a half people to stand in, especially if you're Noonan, who is a giant. Um, so what Noonan says happened is Kelsey, he and Houston went upstairs with Kelsey so she could gather things for the baby. She was constantly trying to hand them things and saying, "Can you take these downstairs? Can you take these downstairs?" Houston eventually did. Um, Houston, while he was up there, Kelsey heard another woman's voice in the house and said, "Who is that?" And Houston said, "I don't know, let me go check on it." And Kelsey also mentioned to him that she didn't want Justin in the house. So Houston went downstairs to tell Lieutenant Daly that Kelsey didn't want Justin in the house. And when she said, "Who's that? Who is that?" And he said, "I don't know, I'll go check it out." The woman's voice she was hearing was Courtney, Justin's sister. So she was starting to get like nervous and upset. So what Noonan testified to is that he then was standing in the landing. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. Hold please, hold please. Let me see if I can grab one of the exhibits here. Okay. This is a good one. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. Let me share this with y'all. Okay, so Kelsey's house is very small. And if you can see here, maybe I have to visit this to make it bigger. Okay, that's better. Okay. Mhm. I am getting there. I am getting there. I am getting there. Hold, please. There we are. Okay. So, what we are looking at here is this is the front doorway right here, right? Stairs go up, living room and kitchen are down here. Stairs go up. Noonan is standing here. This is the baby's room over here. There's a clothing rack and shelf. So this is the only space where Noonan is standing in that square, really, is the only place that he can stand. And Houston was up there as well. What Noonan is saying happened is that Kelsey, who is right here, she is on her knees putting stuff together in baskets. There's a basket right here. There's a chair. Here's the gun safe. And there's a bassinet over here. There's a rug, Kelsey's bed. Here's the air conditioner. What he says happened is Kelsey is on her knees putting stuff together, and she lunges toward where the gun safe is. And when the next thing that happens is she is pointing a gun in his face and she pulls the trigger. Then he says, "Kelsey, no, Kelsey, no." She gets up, stands up backwards once the gun clicked, and then she taps her gun, racks it, taps and racks it again, all while backing up at the end of the bed over to where the air conditioner is, separating them. And then she holds the gun up and points it at him again, and that's when he shoots. And he says he shoots twice. But he also says he shoots like bang, bang. Right? But that's not totally what happened, we don't think. Okay. The cross-examination is where the bulk of this stuff happened because Bradel really impeached him. He poked holes in this whole thing, and it was kind of brilliant to watch. I really liked watching Bradel. Although I will say, I think Martha Coakley might have been a little bit harder on Noonan, but she would have done it in a way that you didn't realize she was being an asshole about it. I think she would have been great too. I think they both could have handled it. It's fine. One of the first things that we're seeing in this room is that when the first when Noonan is saying Kelsey first pulled the gun on him, he's literally 2 to 3 feet away from her. Um, and she would have had to unlatch the safe and flip it open. Noonan is saying they kept showing a picture. I'm going to keep talking while I say this. They kept showing a picture of this pink box that was on top of the gun safe that Noonan says he thinks is where the gun actually was, which is a very strange place for people who keep their guns in a safe. It's a very strange place to hide a gun if you are used to keeping guns locked away. Hold on just a second. Uh, Pink box. Okay. So, do I have a picture of it? Let's see. So Noonan says that she lunged for the safe and yada yada, backed up, tapped, racked like 17 times, acted like Kill Bill, like walking up walls and flipping over. And after he had just told us that she was a rookie cop and she needed to be trained, he's telling us now that she is basically John Wick. So Bradel is basically like, this room was really cluttered, because she's a new mom. Stop playing. Um, so basically she's a rookie cop. She doesn't know what she's doing, but oh, by the way, she's a ninja. He was focused on Bradel was focused on the cluttered space of all the rooms in the house because Kelsey was basically being a single parent at this point and trying to take care of her baby and also her house and her job and dealing with a breakup and now all of this stuff, right? So he basically was saying that this is where the funny line came from Bradel. He was like, "So basically what you're saying is she was on her knees, she reached over, she grabbed a gun, she pointed the gun in your face and she tried to murder you in the face." And Noonan was like, "Yep, that's what happened." So, yeah, she tried to murder me in the face. Um But then by the time that Kelsey had backed up, he was actually 15 feet away from her, which are we looking at this bedroom? Are we seeing the square footage or not the square footage, but the dimensions? It's it's not really possible for her to be 15 feet away from him when he took the shot. So that was one of the first things that he stripped away, was that the room was too small for any of this to happen like he just said it happened. And then he then started breaking down like his bias and Noonan's state of mind. So he got Noonan to admit that he had previously this was crazy testimony. Noonan said that he didn't really know Kelsey and that most of the time that she had been there, she was on maternity leave anyway. She was just, a rookie, so he didn't really know her. Bradel got him to talk about the fact that they had been on other previous cases together, basically assignments together, and that they had both experienced, some really tragic, horrible things, and that they had text messages between them, and that she had met his family, and that they talked about emotional distress and PTSD, and he talked to her about, seeing a therapist, and he was acting sort of like a big brother and all this stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, no, that's just, what a senior officer does with a rookie." And it's like, bullshit, dude. Um, but then the best part was that Brado was like, "So did you have an opinion about Kelsey?" And he was like, "No, not really. I didn't know her." And he's like, "Oh, so when you talked to your neighbor while you were out walking your dog, and so you didn't tell your neighbor your opinion about Kelsey when you were out walking your dog?" And he's like, "My neighbor?" And he said Maureen's name, and he was like, "Maureen, blah, 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 I don't know if I know Maureen." And it's like one of the neighbors he talks to all the time. And we're gonna hear from Maureen, and she is mwah, chef's kiss. Uh, he basically was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he's like, "So you didn't tell your neighbor that Kelsey Fitzsimmons is a whack job?" And as soon as he said whack job, I was like, "Ugh, yeet, triggered, triggered, triggered." And then he had to admit that he may have called Kelsey Fitzsimmons a whack job after he shot her. After he shot her. Ugh, the justification, it blew my mind. Anyway, so that was pretty good. Um, and he also confronted Noonan with the fact that he had a recorded statement with the police, the state police, so MSP, where Noonan admitted that the original plan, before they even walked in the door, was to section Kelsey. And he kept going back and forth on whether that was actually the plan, whether that's what they were going to do. He was disputing that anyone even told him the plan before they walked in the house, which is absolute bullshit. He knew the plan. He was like, it was all semantics in this cross. It was ugly. Um, Bradel also highlighted that Noonan had told the MSP that he had fired one shot, gave commands, and then fired a second shot, which really contradicts the testimony in his direct and in the cross where he said, "I fired two shots, boom, boom." Because that's like basically like boom, boom, just pretty fast. And that's what everybody testified they heard too, was two shots, boom, boom. So he's telling state police, "I fired a shot, it missed," which this trained military guy with SWAT experience who used to be a guard for nuclear components missed when he was about 5 feet away from somebody, and then said, "Kelsey, no, no, Kelsey, no," whatever he said in between, and then fired again. That's what he told Massachusetts State Police, which was inconsistent, shall we say. Um, and then, oh, this was interesting too. This was mostly handled in a sidebar where Bradel wanted to bring in that there were some inducements and favors, basically, preferential treatment, I guess you can call it, for Noonan because the state needed him to testify. So they had basically they were rewarding him for his story by getting him to confirm that he was never drug tested. He was never drug tested after the shooting, which is they're supposed to do. It's against the town of North Andover's policy to not have a copy drug tested after they fired their service weapon, and that he was allowed to work highly paid police details while he was on administrative leave. He's not supposed to be able to do that. He only got 2 questions off because the judge was like, "I don't think this has a lot to do with what we're talking about. This isn't the case before me. I'm gonna give you 2 questions, Mr. Bradel, and then you're done." And then that was that. And that was pretty much it for Noonan, but he really poked holes in the prosecution's theory. His testimony was all over the place. He was very inconsistent. He was angry. I kept talking about his masseter, his jaw. He kept clenching his jaw the whole time. He was so angry. Um, he was combative. He was argumentative. He lied and then would turn that around and say something different or say something a little bit more, gray. But the next officer that took the stand was Stephen Core. Stephen Core was the 4th officer on the scene. He was there that he was told by Noonan to secure Kelsey's firearm, the one that they had pulled out from under her body. So let's see. Oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Why did I forget his name? Lieutenant Daly had seen the gun underneath Kelsey when he rolled over to see if there was an exit wound. He handed the gun to Noonan. Noonan then put the gun on the bed. And then when Core showed up, he wasn't comfortable about how close the gun was still to Kelsey's body. So he told Core to secure the firearm. Core then took the gun Noonan put the gun on the bookshelf after it was put on the bed. Core took the gun off the bookshelf, which was on the other side of the bed from where Kelsey's body was, and he cleared the chamber. This is important, which extracted 1 live round, and he put the gun and the bullet in a black gun safe. Bradel on cross established that there was no police report written about what Core did with that gun. No police report. Again, thank you, Massachusetts local and state police for doing your friggin' job. Are you guys seriously? You can't write a friggin' report? An officer shot another officer and you can't write a report? What? He also didn't speak to the state police until 30 days after the shooting happened. Okay. Next on the stand, this was the last witness for day 2. Next on the stand was Bonosoro, who was a Massachusetts state trooper who testified ballistics. Basically, he was going over what happened with the guns and the weapons. There was one projectile, a discharged casing, and one recovered projectile, which was found in the curtains hanging behind where Kelsey was shot. He confirmed that Kelsey's weapon, which was in the black safe box where Core put it, was loaded with 16 rounds in the magazine and one loose round found in the box, bringing it to its full 17 round capacity. And the way that it was explained to us, because I've shot guns before, I know a little bit about guns, but this specific gun, the magazine holds 17 rounds and they usually keep one in the chamber. Kelsey had been at the firing range days before this, doing her training so that she could be reinstated. And so she must have not realized that she had shot the one or not put a new one in, not really sure. But there was no gun and there was no bullet in the chamber when she pulled the trigger the first time, which she says was aimed at her head and not at Noonan, which is why everyone heard a click. Let's see. He did a dry fire demonstration, so he actually used the gun in the courtroom. The judge was really worried about the safety of it and was like, "Are we sure we wanna do this? This seems unsafe." And he was like, "No, sir, I'll make sure it's safe." So he did that. He pulled the trigger without a bullet in the chamber, resulting in the click, so they could everyone I think everyone knows what a gun clicking sounds like, even if you've only heard it in the movies. Um, Bradel established on his cross that Bonosoro applied no scientific methods, like checking for extractor or ejector marks on the bullet casings, or the loose bullets found in the box to determine if they had actually been cycled through Kelsey's weapon, meaning there was no scientific proof she'd actually racked the slide as Noonan claimed she did. So, racked the slide. No proof of that, apparently. I didn't understand a lot of it. I think a lot of people tuned out on that day. They were bored. He looked like another thumb from the MSP, and he reminded me of a cross between Michael Proctor and our friend Tommy Paul. And I think everyone kind of checked out on him a little bit. Okay, we're going to move into day 3 pretty quickly here, but let me check some of these comments. Let's see. Whoa, lots of comments. Okay. At least it's not going by too fast. Thanks for being here, Marlboro. I will give Ruby some hugs. She needs them today. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I don't recall hearing that, but TC Nerd said, didn't Noonan try to claim initially that Kelsey hit the air conditioning, not him? No, I think I don't think it was the air conditioning. One of the things that Noonan said was that when Core showed up, the guy who secured the gun, and they were standing in the doorway, behind them where the baby's nursery is was basically French doors. So there were French doors separating the nursery from the landing area. And each of the French doors obviously has panes of glass in them. And there was a little hole and chip out of the corner of one of the pieces of glass. And Core was like, "Oh, there looks like there's damage there. Did she actually get a round off on you?" And that's when Noonan was like, "Huh, I don't know. Maybe she did get a round off on me." This was all just to bolster their story. There was actually no glass. And he said that on the stand. If a bullet had gone through the glass of a French door, there would be at least tiny shards of glass on the floor somewhere. No glass. So this was like an old thing that had happened, had nothing to do with her firing, had nothing to do with anything, but they were inserting it to make us all believe that maybe she did get a round off of him. It never happened. Um yeah, we haven't, Annie, you're right, but we haven't gotten to Kelsey's testimony yet, so I'm telling you what Noonan testified to. So, let's see. don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Okay. Ellie said, "Sorry, Mel didn't explain that article well. The Ilan work with learn to cope and are familiar with involuntary commitment and how these systems work. I need more coffee." No, I mean, I get it. I understand. I think I got the gist of what you were saying. Kelsey was doing ninja moves. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Isn't wilderness camp for kids with problems and they could be drug problems? Yes. I mean, I think that the way it was detailed was that I think he detailed it in his testimony, if I'm not mistaken, but like kids who are having problems, he was like a camp counselor. So I'm sure he saw some shit. Um, all right, I got to go down here a little bit. There's lots of comments here. The porch video from after the shooting and after Kelsey leaves tells a lot, in my opinion, about Noonan and Daly. Just saw yesterday via Microdots given to them by Kelsey's dad. Yeah, Casey, that moment in the Microdots video of Noonan just standing on the porch, like contemplating his life after he shot Kelsey is really impactful. I agree. Let's see. Tommy Paul. Well, I guess Kelsey pirouetted. No, you know who pirouetted though? Justin, when he ran out of the house and slipped and fell and pirouetted. Uh Becky said Tommy Paul is our spirit trooper. Yep, that's the truth. Okay. Okay, let's get back to day 3. So witness number 7, day 3 was I got to stretch. Timothy Houston, who was the third officer who showed up to serve the restraining order. Now, when I first saw Houston testifying, I was like, this guy wants nothing to do with being here. Also, he seems like he just woke up and or he's high. I had a lot of bad feelings about him. Probably because he was on Noonan's side. I guess that's my confirmation bias. But then my mind really changed about Houston. It changed in the moment. I think people in the chat were like, "Oh, well, you just changed your mind, Mel." And I was like, "Yeah, I did. He seems like actually a really nice guy." I think Houston was the only cop there trying to do the right thing, and he was trying to thread that line. He said he was Kelsey's friend. He was actually invited to her wedding, and he testified that he was, who held her baby, even though he didn't really know what he was doing because he's not a dad. He was very nice. He seemed like a nice guy. He seemed to genuinely of anybody that testified, he seemed to genuinely care about Kelsey, and I appreciated that. Other than her mother, of course. Um, he testified that while he was upstairs, Kelsey explicitly told him that she didn't want Justin in the house. So he went downstairs to inform Daly, who told him to keep Justin in the basement. But he couldn't get down in the basement until before the gunshots were fired. So I should take that back. He actually made it to the basement, but it was dark, and so he didn't go any further because he couldn't see anything, and that's when the gunshots happened, and that's when Justin ran. And I don't think Bradle could do a lot with Houston on the cross because Houston like genuinely cared about Kelsey and was trying to be level-headed and trying to tell the story exactly how it happened, and he wasn't trying to add any fluff like Daly and Noonan were and Justin was. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. So what Bradle did in the cross was he focused specifically on all of the things leading up to the shooting that they didn't take care of. Meaning Daly didn't do what he should have done as lieutenant, securing the fire. He didn't order anyone to secure the firearms. He didn't keep Justin out of the house. He didn't handle the situation better. He didn't bring DCF. He didn't bring a mental health services person. So there wasn't much he could do with Houston because Houston was actually a good guy and was trying to be honest, I think. That's my opinion. But the next witness was the antithesis of Timothy Houston. She was Kelly Dever incarnate. I'm not sure why she was so angry. She needed to fucking chill out. Her name was Michelle Mitchell, and she was a friend of Kelsey's, and I believe she was in the wedding party even. She was one of the people that was at the house that Kelsey drove by when she saw, I think it was Hunter's house, right? Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm yawning. I haven't had enough sleep. Um, take a deep breath for a second. Okay. She testified that she spoke to Kelsey on the phone earlier in the day on June 30th. I believe she was the one that was like, "Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee, friendo." I think they were trying to get Kelsey out of the house, is what I think they were trying to do. That's why they were all gathered at Justin's friend's house. Um, she also said that she saw Kelsey crying and driving around with the baby, saying she needed or was meeting Justin, which is crazy if you think about it, because Michelle was at the house and Kelsey was like, I need Justin. I'm also meeting Justin. And yeah, um, just really shitty friends all around. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Um, they weren't great to Kelsey. They I don't know. It makes me wonder who Kelsey is as a human being, but it also makes me wonder if people are just sort of misogynist to the core, even women. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I want you to see her testimony because it was cringy at best. So let me pull this up right quick. This is Michelle Mitchell. And she, as my grandmother would say, is a piece of work.
Could you raise your right hand? You
Big
solemnly
head and the high
swear
hand.
that the testimony you're about to give in this cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's speed this up a little bit.
Directly into this thing, will you chair? Judge can take. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good.
Okay. Could you
gonna
please state
skip
your name,
through.
spell your first name and your last name?
I'm gonna skip through the direct.
And how long have you been doing that?
8 years.
So you can
In
see how
Middleton?
calm.
Yes,
Do you know
Smiley.
Kelsey Fitzsimmons?
I do.
How do you know her?
We were coworkers and we eventually became friends.
Now I'm going to
She's
jump ahead
consider.
in
Okay.
at some point.
That's still Goober Toes.
Justin. I didn't up until I went to the hospital. Justin was Kelsey's fiance.
Okay, so she's
Was
smiley.
she also in your
calm,
wedding, if you know?
Totally
something?
fine.
Okay. And thank you. I have nothing else.
Here we go. Watch her demeanor change.
Yes,
Look at her.
good afternoon, Ms. Mitchell.
Good afternoon.
No smile.
Just a couple of questions. You said that you spoke with Kelsey on 6/30/25,
That is correct.
and she told you that she was driving around. She said that she was meeting Justin, right?
No, she was not meeting Justin.
Did you say needing Justin?
I thought you said meeting.
I did. Wasn't she going to meet Justin?
That was what I understood from Justin, but she didn't tell me that on the phone.
Okay, she said that she needed Justin.
Meeting or needing? You need to clarify that for me.
Ooh,
I think I said needed.
look
She
at the
said
judge.
She needed Justin.
Needed Justin. That is correct.
Okay, so just let's put that over here.
Oof.
And she had also told you that day that she was meeting Justin, right?
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
What a
So
dick.
she couldn't meet with you because she was meeting Justin, right?
That is what she said.
And you said there was some sort of gathering at Hunter's house,
Yes,
and that was a social gathering with swimming and drinking, right?
that is incorrect.
Was there swimming?
No, Mr. Brady.
Was there drinking?
Ooh.
Also no.
Ooh.
And it was you, Katrina, and Justin and his sister and Hunter, right?
Correct.
Now, you said that you saw her drive by the house,
Yes,
and so it's fair to say that she would have been able to recognize some or all of the vehicles, right?
yes,
And going by the house is a route that would take her to the North Andover Common, right?
yes, it's near there. Correct.
Nothing further.
She was on her way to work. That's why she drove by the house. So that happened. She was cunty, to say the least. I think, people are like, it sounds like she's a bad listener. And I'm like, no, I don't think she's a bad listener. I think she was prepared to answer the questions in a contentious way because she didn't want to give anything to the defense. And she was expecting it to be this like fight between her and Bradle. I don't know. It was just crazy. It's like, there's no point. There's no point in doing all that, Okay. But here, and I want to bring this up too. Here we get to Maureen Teresi, who is Noonan's neighbor. And this woman, I want to be her friend. I want to be her neighbor. I want to walk my dogs with her. She was phenomenal. She was a phenomenal witness. I'm going to play a little bit of her testimony for you. And so we're basically at this point in time, sorry, I should have mentioned the prosecution. Wait, let me make sure I have the right days here. Yeah. So the prosecution rests their case, the Commonwealth rests. The defense's case is starting up. So on day 3, the defense starts to make their case. And their first witness is this fucking rock star. Her name is Maureen. Where'd she go? Maureen Teresi. And I'm gonna give you some Maureen here. She made my day. She's a heroine. I want to meet her and I want to be friends with her and I want to get some merch with her face on it. All right, here we go. This is Maureen. She's amazing.
You call your first witness?
Yes, Judge. We're going to call Ms. Maureen Teresi. Yes.
Maureen Teresi?
Maureen, are you here?
You raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause now and hearing shall be the truth,
Big head,
the whole
high
truth,
hands.
and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Good morning. You can have a seat and pull yourself right up to that mic.
Ma'am, pardon.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Maureen Teresi, Torris.
And where do you live?
In North Andover.
Do you live in a condo complex there?
I do.
What do you do for a living?
I am a stay-at-home mom, I guess. I guess I'm retired.
What are you retired from?
The construction industry and home staging design.
How long have you been retired?
I closed my business, I think, 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago. A large staging business.
How long have you lived in your condo complex in North Andover?
Since 2014.
Do you have a dog?
A dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I have 2.
Look at her
And
face.
do you walk
light
the
up.
dog around the complex from time to time?
Every day.
Every day.
Do you, in the course of walking your dog, have you ever made the acquaintance of one of your neighbors named Mr. Noonan?
I have.
And do you know who that is generally?
I do.
And how do you know him?
Walking the dogs. I knew him as Duke's father.
Duke's father.
And Duke is
Duke is
dog.
dog's name. I've spoken, just in passing,
father.
The dogs interact and, just general talking about the dogs and whatever. So I had spoken to him a few times and his wife, about the dogs and just general
Neighbors
stuff.
making small talk.
Absolutely.
Okay. And back in August of 2025, you had engaged him in some conversation about what was going on at the North Andover PD, right?
I did.
And is that what you said to him by way of initiating the conversation?
I did, yes. The beginning of it was just I had a razzing relationship with him, just regarding things going on in the world. And so what I started with is, how do you like what's going on, in the world today? Or whatever. Nah. He's like, I love it.
Okay, this is what Rebecca and I were talking about when Rebecca joined me the other day for the verdict. Rebecca was like, did you notice that Maureen said, how do you like about what's going on in the world today? And we had the same thought. I didn't say it on the live stream until I was talking to Rebecca, but basically what Maureen is telling us is that, she's asking him what he thinks about in the world today. And he says, I love it. And it's because he's a Trump supporter, which is fine. But I just thought it was funny that Maureen was inserting some of the politics here. It was so funny to me.
And then I had asked, what's going on with North Andover, the town of North Andover? And
What were you referring to when you said that to him?
what was going on at the department as far as, the shooting, the cop being shot.
And did he?
And he first said, what do you mean? And I said, well, that press conference, the first press conference that was given made no sense.
Good for you, Maureen.
And at that time he said, shooter.
What he said, I'm the shooter?
He said, I'm the shooter.
And what did you take that to mean?
I said to him that he was the one that shot the other officer, is what I took that to mean.
Right. And then what happened?
I had asked him first I said, my God, I'm so sorry. I know when police officers have to discharge their weapons, it affects them. And I can't imagine having to do that with a colleague.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get the end of that.
I said I couldn't imagine having to do that to a colleague.
All right, I'm going to speak.
And what did he say?
And he had said to me that, sorry, I'm a little nervous. He had said that there was no choice to it. He had no choice, that she had the gun pointed at him when he came into the bedroom. And
did he use any?
He said that.
Pejorative about her?
I'm sorry?
Did he use any certain pejorative about her? What did he call her?
What did he call her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't call her that at that time. He explained very, very briefly what had happened. And he said that when he came into the room, she had the gun pointed at him, and that it clicked. She clicked it. And I said, so there was no bullet there? And he said it clicked, and that he wasn't going to let her get a second shot off, and that he had to shoot her. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I had asked why they went to her house. The three of them went to the house instead of having her go to the station.
Great question, Maureen.
Why wouldn't they, if they were going to the house to take a baby, why wouldn't they have had some social services there with them?
Maureen.
And he said, well, she's a fucking whack job. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize.
You have to say what was said.
She said,
okay.
And
he said
in a court of law
that she's an whack job.
So was that in response to you saying, why didn't you have social services go to the house?
Yeah. And I was like,
love
wow,
her so much.
that word is used.
Objection.
Oh,
Sustain.
she was trying to say, because she's a Karen Reed supporter.
So not what was said so much,
Okay.
but did you engage back with him about let's say the propriety of that usage?
I did.
After that, did you end the conversation with him?
There was a little more conversation, and then it ended. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh,
How did you get involved in this case?
How did I get involved in it?
He was like, he didn't even wait. He waited for Bradle to be like, okay, thanks, I'm done. He started asking the question before he stood up, before he got in front of the microphone. He thought this was going to be his shining moment. He was going to tear this witness apart. He friggin' fell flat on his face.
Yeah,
I didn't.
well, no, how did they know you heard this?
Because she contacted him.
Objection,
Don't be a
relevance.
moron, Gubitosi. Let me get to some better stuff.
Interested in this case from the beginning, weren't you?
No, I mean, I was interested in what was going on in my town. Yes,
You're Maureen Sullivan, Teresa, correct?
I am.
And you post and you make comments to newspaper articles, don't you?
About this?
Yeah.
I could have. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
She's like, yeah, sure. I'm on
Yes,
Facebook every
you
fucking day.
showed
What
it
of
to
it?
defense.
Yeah, they have a copy. Well, that's you, right? You reposted something on July 10th.
Okay,
Correct.
she can't read it. It's too small.
When was this? July 10th. Okay, yeah.
And what did you repost?
Meaning what? What do you mean? What did I repost? It's a.
Yeah, it's a simple
Article.
question.
I'm sorry. It's an article from.
Don't be fucking rude
Looks
to
like
her.
a post from Mike
Gubertos.
Crawford.
She's a
Right.
I
lovely
reposted
lady.
that.
You reposted that.
Yes.
Post,
Okay,
but
so
what
that's
did
where
you read?
Mike Crawford makes an entrance into the chat. So I love that she just used his name right out there. Like she knows Mike Crawford is like a local guy who is Karen Reed supporter. And she's like, yeah, I reposted some Mike Crawford stuff. What of it, Gubitosi? What of it?
Speaking over each other. So Mr. Gubitosi, why don't you ask
Okay.
and Mr.
Hold
Gubitosi,
on.
please.
Meaning what? What do you mean? What did I repost? It's a,
Yeah, it's a simple
article.
question.
I'm sorry, it's an article from, looks like a post from Mike Crawford. I
Right.
reposted that.
You reposted
She's like,
that.
yeah, I did
Yes.
that.
Post, well, what did you repost?
What's, I can't see it. Like, what's the context of Mike's?
You did it.
I understand that.
What is that?
Hold on, please. I'm not raising my voice. Anything more than to
It's
just,
so
thank
stupid.
You don't remember what you reposted?
I can't see, no,
Okay.
from
Mrs.
July
She's like,
10th,
no,
I can't
that
read.
was from
My
friggin' July
point being
10th,
is, I'm sorry, I
Gubitosi.
can't
I'd
see it.
repost
It's my problem.
177
Monday,
tweets or
for
repost
the
on
witness,
Facebook every day. Shut up.
Exhibit
Parker Friday.
I can't read it either from records. Last statements.
Better, I was like, I can't read it either.
Exhibit
More legible.
Well, it may be bigger than.
It's so stupid. They have to talk about this the whole
Use
time.
of deadly
Okay,
force,
so that happened.
police officer Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
And then he brings up another
Yes, that's my
Facebook
name. And
post.
yes, this is, well, it's a comment.
It's a comment
To a
that you
post.
made to an article, correct?
Excuse me.
Well,
Hold on, Mr. This is market for ID, please. Mr. Bradley, you've seen this?
I have.
Okay.
Exhibit F, so Mark.
Thank you.
So August 14th, you commented, correct?
I did.
Can you read what you said?
Can I read
This
it?
is amazing.
Can you read out loud what you
Oh,
said?
sure.
This actually helps the defense. I think.
Joseph LaHood, who's I'm commenting too.
Sure.
Yeah. Got proof or evidence of this narrative? This incident was a setup from the get-go. Their narrative will not pass the smell test. I hope all involved are ready for their tireless scrutiny that independent media will bring to light through extensive research. Ask Norfolk County, Mass State Police, and Canton Police are doing these days. We have just begun.
So we have just begun. So you feel like you have a stake in this game?
Not at all.
You feel that you're akin this to the Karen Reed trial, right?
Yes.
So that there's a cover up.
Well, not that there's a cover.
Well, those were your words, weren't they?
I don't know if is that what it says in there? I forget what that says in there.
A setup from the get-go, correct?
Correct.
And tireless scrutiny that independent media will bring to light through extensive research. And then you mentioned Norfolk Mass State Police
Yep.
in the Canton.
I
Police,
did.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So a cover.
Well, yeah, it's the judicial system seems to be going awry, and there's more eyes on things now.
Okay, I'm gonna show you something else. I'm sorry. I don't want you-
Look at her. She's like, you don't see that like I do, Gubitosi?
Let's have that mark on your way up. Thanks.
All right, one more.
Can you first look at it and see if you recognize it?
Sure,
So
This
look
is
at the
my-
first page.
This is
Do you
my
recognize
favorite
what that is?
thing.
I do.
Okay, can you flip to the second page and see if he made a comment to this?
And it
Yep.
helps the defense here.
I sure
again.
did.
Can you read the first page out loud, please?
The post itself.
Yeah.
Today, it's from the North Andover Police Department. Today is National Police Women's Day. Please join us in recognizing
Favorite.
Sergeant Katie. What's her last name?
If
Want me
you
to
can't
spell
read
it?
the last name, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Sergeant Julie Nigro and School Resource Officer Stephanie Rizzo. They have over 43 years of combined experience, and it shows. As all three demonstrate strong leadership inside and outside our department walls. We appreciate their immense dedication to helping both residents and visitors in the North Andover community every day. Thank you for your service.
And you commented on that, correct?
I sure did.
What did you say?
Wow, let's hope they stay safe from their colleagues.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
Good job,
Read the
Maureen. You're absolutely right, my friend.
Word to tenure. Thank you.
That's it. That's good stuff. She was the best. She was my favorite. Besides Kelsey. Kelsey was pretty friggin' amazing too. Okay, let's get back to it. All right. Lauren Page, who is Kelsey's mom, testified on direct for the defense that she arrived at the house to find Kelsey sad and confused because Justin had ghosted her. After leaving to go to CVS, Kelsey called her back, which we talked about. She arrived to find police, took the baby, and was then told to hand the baby to Justin. She was downstairs when she heard Kelsey no and 2 rapid gunshots. The prosecution couldn't really do much with her, obviously. And then we had one big witness, and that was Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She was witness number 11, which is my lucky number. And Kels, she was pretty amazing. I was so impressed with her. She was completely credible, did such a good job on the stand, telling her story, finally telling her story for the first time in 10 months, however many months this has been going on. She was calm, cool, collected, had reasoning, and was concrete about the facts. On the cross-examination, she held her own. I think that if you get a chance to watch it in full, you should. I thought it was amazing. Like I said, and I'm going to show you a little piece of it. Let's see. I'll just show you a couple of bits and pieces here. Sorry. I'm just trying to not pick, we'll just use Court TV. That's the easiest way to do it. This must have been so nerve-wracking for her too. Let me pull this up.
So help you God. Thank you.
You may have a seat. You put yourself right up to that mic.
I didn't mean to do that.
All set.
Thank you, Army Inquiry.
Okay, so we're going to go through her background a bit. Let me get into
PT days, as well as an Academy sweatshirt. Argument about that.
Text argument.
Yeah, it was like, you're his dad. You're not a babysitter. You can come.
Okay, so here.
So we had spoken through text and on the phone in the morning. I was asking if he would come home because he hadn't been home in days to be with Caden while I went to work. And his response basically was, I can pick him up and watch him. And I said, you're not a babysitter. So there was a bit of argument about that.
Text argument.
Yeah, it was like, you're his dad. You're not a babysitter. You can come home. I don't understand picking him up and watching him. That was very odd for me to hear as his father.
Moms don't like when dads say they're going to babysit their own kid, right?
Yes, you're your dad.
And at some point, just to kind of cut to the chase on that, you made a plan to meet up in North Andover?
Yeah, there was a lot of texting back and forth.
Okay, so we know a lot of this.
When he was walking out of
I want to get to
Boston, and then that's when it just like communication stopped. No,
I want to get to the actual shooting so you can hear her version of events.
Porch door that we've seen on the video.
Yeah, my front door service up there, and that was the last thing I ever said to Justin. For the night, other officers lost everything in a 15-second conversation with my.
Okay, so we are.
I didn't think Justin was coming over. I knew that Caden was going to Justin, but
Okay, so she didn't think Justin was going to be in the house.
I can tell you like what I've done before on a call where there was a restraining order involved. I don't know if it's a provision or not though.
Okay.
What I've done before on a call where there was a restraining order involved. I don't know if it's a provision or not though.
Okay, we'll move on from there.
Okay.
So you.
What I've done before on
I keep
trying to
back,
hand
sorry.
them things so they would go away.
Where did that happen?
That happened upstairs. So I was first
we'll
in
stay here.
the room. You walk up, there's a landing. The room on the left is Caden's room. I went in there first and I put books in a car seat because Justin's truck didn't have the car seat. And I handed it, I don't even know who I handed it to one of them. And I said, can you bring this downstairs? And
What was the, what happened after you said that?
somebody brought it downstairs and then they came back up.
So you struck out in terms of what you testified to earlier.
Yeah, I just kept trying to hand them things to make them go away.
Meaning, what do you mean make them go away? Be more specific if you can.
Like,
What was the plan?
I knew if I pulled out my firearm in front of a police officer, I would get shot. That was not my intention, and that's not what I did. I was trying to get them away from me, so that didn't happen. So they weren't put in that position because I'm not dumb. I was a police officer. If someone takes out a gun in front of you, yes, that's a threat. Yes, that's somebody that you probably feel threatened from.
So, but if you want to kill yourself, why not just let it happen that way?
That's selfish. I would never do that. Even looking back now, like reflecting for 9 months, I think my decision to do it to myself was selfish to everybody who loves me. So I'll just.
The officers transport some stuff downstairs.
Several.
Yeah. At some point, did Officer Houston leave the second floor?
Yes.
And that left who up there?
Officer Noonan.
So upstairs it was Officer Noonan and yourself.
Yes.
At some point, did you go across that landing to the other room?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I was on the floor packing more clothes in the duffel bag.
In which room?
My bedroom.
Okay,
When we walk up
hold on.
the stairs to the right.
Okay, so you finish up in the other room and you go to your room.
Yes.
All right. Tell us
I'm
the
going to bring up
circumstances
the
of
map.
where do you go? Where does Noonan
You
go?
guys can
when you go
hear
to
her
your bedroom?
voice and see her, but I want you to look at the
nobody
map.
came
too.
into.
Oh, I think before I said she asked that, I meant Noonan or somebody else asked it. Shouldn't you guys know?
Room. That's the room on the top of the landing to
I'm
the right.
sorry if it was muted, guys.
Where's the
That's
photographer
weird.
standing in this picture?
He's standing in the doorway.
When you went to go get that firearm, was there anyone in your view in that landing?
No.
Can you hear it now?
Was this after you saw Noonan depart?
Yes. His back was turned towards me. He was following Officer Houston downstairs.
Did he stay that way or did he disappear from that scene?
Well, he must have turned around at some point and walked back up the stairs because.
You know how when you're near somebody that's going up and downstairs, you can hear going up and downstairs. Did you hear any particular number of
No,
steps?
I'm certain I heard him and saw him walk down several steps.
Okay. And how did that affect your state of mind at that very instant?
I knew that was my moment.
To do what?
Kill myself.
Eek.
What did you do?
So that shoebox was not on top of the green safe.
At the time you were doing this?
At the time, yeah, there was nothing on top of the safe.
All right. And you're referring, for the record, there's a orange lined box in the picture?
Yeah, it looks like.
Is that what you're talking about?
It looks like a shoebox. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, can you just give me a moment to catch up?
Sure. Absolutely.
That shoebox is going to become very important. And also, I should say
I'm sorry, did you say that that box was not?
I just want to, I don't think I actually said what they tried to pull a motive out of Noonan when he testified. So the prosecution tried to get Noonan to posit or why Kelsey was doing what she was doing by shooting him, trying to murder him in the face. And Noonan basically was positing that Kelsey was in a homicidal rage and she was going to shoot him and then she was going to go downstairs and get Justin. Kelsey says she didn't know Justin was in the house. The prosecution on their cross, where are you going, Rubes? The prosecution on their cross of Kelsey will try to get it out of her and make it seem like she did know Justin was in the house, but she kept saying she didn't. So they're basically saying that in a homicidal rage, she was going to shoot through everybody to go downstairs to murder Justin. I guess including her own mom. I mean, the prosecution's theory is way out there. It's absolutely ludicrous. But this pink box is they call it orange. I see it as pink or salmon or something, is sitting on top of. Do you see this number 3 on the screen? That's the green gun safe. That's where Kelsey's guns were. And wait till you hear what she has to say about this pink box.
On
what did you say about that box?
That box was not there.
Oh.
The top of that chest, I'm calling it a safe. It's a chest that locks. That's where I kept my firearms. The top of it, nothing was on it. So whatever was placed there after, that was not there before.
Oh.
Thank you. Ready to go? Yes. What about the chair? Is that how the chair was?
The chair was turned the other way because that was the chair I would rock it in. That was not facing that way. The back of the chair was up against the wall, I guess.
So it's kind of like as you'd expect it to be in the room.
Yeah, I would need to pivot like this to be right. So it was probably moved. My room is small.
Okay. And to get at your guns in there, you kind of have to flip up the top of that chest.
Yes.
Which would make a sound, which
Were
would be
you-
loud.
Where was your focus in terms of the firearm, the chest, whether Noonan's coming back? Where are you focused?
I was just like, hurry up before somebody comes back.
And what did you do?
I grabbed the gun out of the chest. I put it up to my chest here.
So what was going on with you putting it up to your chest? What was that all about? What do you mean you said you put it up to?
Like I just
you made a motion to your stomach area, right?
Yeah, like I just grabbed it quickly. I bent over, grabbed it, put it here, took 2 steps backwards. And I don't want to make the motion of what I did because it's just horrible. But I put the gun up to my head.
Which hand?
My right hand,
Where on your head did you put it? Can you just describe it?
my temple.
Was Noonan in the door frame by now?
Not yet. He
I think
had just walked in.
I think I just realized why it's important that the gun is underneath her. Because if she's pointing it out in front of her and she's shot in the chest, even if she's only pointing with one hand and she's shot in the chest, she goes back like this and the gun goes up and falls all around her and maybe on the bed and in front of her. But if she has the gun to her head and she falls backwards, the gun goes first. That makes sense.
Like when I pulled the trigger on myself with the gun pointing towards my head.
What happened when you pulled the trigger?
He said, Kelsey, no. Kelsey, no. I pulled the trigger. I'm sorry, but I said,
What happened next?
She said, fuck.
I got shot.
How long after you said that did you get shot?
I don't even think I got to the K in the word before I was shot.
What did that feel like?
What part?
Getting shot in the chest.
Hurt.
Did the force of that bullet knock you in any particular direction?
It knocked me backwards.
Do you recall what happened with your firearm?
The post-traumatic stress is,
I
can't even
got
imagine.
moved. It was
Well, I'm sorry,
okay.
I got a question. I'll ask you a better question.
Okay.
Right at that point, as you're shot and you're flying back or falling back, whatever you want to call it, can you remember what happened with your firearm?
It fell out of my hands. It was to my head and it fell out of my hand. And I
Behind
fell on
her,
the ground.
under
The
her.
firearm fell on the ground.
A couple of questions before we move on. At any point when you were doing that, when you had the firearm up to your head, was Noonan present during the time you raised the firearm to your head?
Like when I motioned up to my head with it?
Correct.
No, he was
No.
not in the room. Nobody was in the room.
That's the point right there.
When Noonan
That's the
came
whole
into
kit and
your view,
caboodle.
where was the gun pointed?
The gun was pointed at my temple.
At any point, did you move the muzzle of that gun
No.
towards Noonan?
No, never.
Did you move it anywhere?
Wouldn't.
No.
You can tell by her demeanor and who she is as a human being, she would not point her gun at a cop. I just want to show you the room one more time. And let's go through Noonan's story is Kelsey's right here. And he says that pink box was on top of the gun safe. I've now realized once I saw that pink box and once I heard Kelsey's testimony that either inadvertently, an EMT, a firefighter, another police officer, they were picking things up and moving things around the room because they needed to make space to get her out of the room. And so they may have set that down. Someone took a photo of it. Noonan looked at it and said, oh, that's where the gun must have come from. That box was not on top of that gun safe. And I believe that. I believe Kelsey's testimony. So he's saying she was here, she was kneeling, she dove for the gun, pointed it at him from her knees, so beneath him, to murder him in the face. Click. Kelsey, no. She gets up, backs up, taps, re-racks. Kelsey, no, don't do it. Re-racks again when she's over here by the AC unit. And then that's when he shoots her. Whose story do you believe? Whose story do you believe? Okay. The cross on Kelsey, they didn't do anything. They did nothing with their cross. I was blown away by the cross on Kelsey because they challenged her timeline. They asked her why she parked away from the house, which she had an amazing, good reason for, which was that she was worried because something was going on and she didn't want anyone to know she was home. And she denied knowing that Justin was in the house. They did not try to impeach her or challenge the testimony of what actually happened in that room one iota. And that was it. And then they had one David Strong was a witness after Kelsey. Was that true? Was there a witness after Kelsey? I think I might have gotten my notes backwards. Massachusetts State Police. He basically was the lead investigator. He testified about securing the scene, obtaining a search warrant. Bradel highlighted that the state police did not record video of their interview with Noonan. This was actually important. I don't remember if he came after Kelsey or not. But anyway, when the Massachusetts State Police, they were wearing body camera. He took his body camera off during the interview with Noonan and he placed it on the table. So it was like pointing up at the ceiling. He was recording audio. That was it. He couldn't say why he did that. He also said that he did not drug test Noonan and that North Andover police had free reign of the house for 20 minutes before the police got there. The state police arrived. So with that being said, that was it. And then they had closings. I really don't want to play Gubitosi's closing argument. I thought Bradel, he did fine. It wasn't like groundbreaking. It was calm. It was quiet. It was tender almost. And it didn't really leave a huge impact, but I don't think Bradel needed to do a lot because Kelsey did all the heavy lifting for them. But Gubitosi, it was uncomfortable and weird. And I wanted to show you a little bit of what happened after it. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. Actually, why don't I just pull up the actual video of Gubitosi doing what he does. Now, let's see. That's Bradel. All right, we got Gubitosi. You can see my reaction in real time.
And kill someone else. So that's what they were thinking
Same.
when they went into this house.
Okay, I just want to fast forward a little bit here. Noonan is in the courtroom, obviously. This is the only part that I really want to show you because he's an idiot.
He's there. And Officer Noonan is watching her. He's watching her. And she's on one knee. And she lunges and she disappears. And she emerges.
Oh. I'm sorry. He picks up the gun, y'all. He picks up the gun and he does it 3 times.
With this, pointing at him like she is trained to
Look at the
do.
judge. Why is he pointing that gun in open court? Oh, for fuck's sake. Bro. It's too much,
And what
buddy.
does he see next? He draws his weapon and he says his testimony.
He's not in front of a
kind
jury.
slowed down.
He's only in front of a
Whole thing
judge.
took maybe 4 seconds, maybe even 3.5 seconds. His training has kicked in. His experience has kicked in. It was a surprise to him, certainly.
Okay, so
because she got dropped on.
he pulls up the
And
gun
why
now,
did she do this?
and then he does it again.
Back. And now he knows based
Oh
on
my
his
God, he's gonna
training
do it again. He's gonna do it again.
There is not a
I'm
random
laughing at
chance.
myself.
He knows that, and so he doesn't shoot. According to the defendant's testimony, he had every right to shoot at that point. And you know what? He actually did. He had a right to shoot her at that point. If you point a gun at a cop, and pulled the trigger.
She didn't point the gun.
They get to
Anyway,
shoot, but he
closing
didn't.
arguments were they were equally lackluster and also really embarrassing for the Commonwealth. And then there was some interesting thing that happened right after the closing, and I'm going to show you what happened because I have a hard time explaining it. While I was watching it, I noticed that Bradel, Martha Coakley, and Kelsey were like rapid fire taking notes during the prosecution's closing. And as soon as they were done, Bradel asked to have a sidebar. So we had a sidebar and it went on for a long time. And then this happened. Let me see. Share screen. I'm going to just go back to my own feed on this one. I'm an idiot. I just want to get to what Bradel's objections. This was fascinating to me. Okay. So you guys can hear me? Oh, why is it not working?
Counsel's closing argument centered on ballistics issues.
Hmm.
The first part is that counsel picked up the gun and used it 3 times.
Okay, these are the objections.
Prior to that, counsel provided what I would consider to be expert testimony on the operation of the gun. I think it exceeded the scope of what Detective Bonasaro talked about. He said that it had to be a scientific certainty that this gun was racked by Kelsey Fitzsimmons. This characterizes the defense position that we're not saying necessarily that it did or didn't happen. We said that Kelsey Fitzsimmons didn't rack the firearm. And we have a completely different version of events. So no one's saying that it didn't happen. We're saying that Kelsey didn't do it. And to characterize it like, that it had to be racked by Kelsey Fitzsimmons is not fair argument, and it mischaracterizes the state of the evidence.
Wow.
The second objection relative to ballistics, Your Honor, is that counsel was acting out. I believe it was the second time he picked up the firearm. Counsel was acting out on Noonan's story that Ms. Fitzsimmons had accessed the firearm from the chest and picked it up to point it at Noonan's face. And on Noonan's testimony, she just pulled the trigger and it clicked. Counsel's acting it out. Prior to pulling the trigger, counsel wrapped the firearm and then pulled the trigger. And that's not what happened on even Noonan's testimony.
Okay, so you guys sort of get the point. They were picking apart his closing like in real time. It wasn't really a rebuttal. He was actually objecting to it. And the judge takes it into consideration. But again, he's like, I just am going to deal with what's in front of me, what happened in that room. And he goes off and starts to deliberate. He deliberates. And then the court tells us that they're going to have a verdict by 1:30. I think they told everybody that around 12:30. So we all knew what was happening. The judge had so much transparency, which I really appreciated. And we all came back. I think we actually came back at like 1:15. The verdict wasn't actually read until around 2. And I was lucky that Rebecca was able to join me while she was on vacation for the verdict. Let's see. I just want to bring up the actual verdict. I think I might have to bring up my own video again, which is fine. It's just kind of weird to have my face right next to my face. But there you go. All right. So Rebecca was able to join me for the verdict, which made me very happy. The judge went on and on and on, and he was making all of us very nervous. I'm going to play it for you, but I'm putting it up on a little bit faster time because we were just like, Judge, come on, Judge Karp, get to it. What are you talking about, buddy? Like he was making us all think this was going to be a guilty verdict, actually. All right, I'm gonna add this to the stage. I'm gonna hit the play. Okay.
311, all counsel and the defendant are present.
The judge was nervous too. Hold on.
The warning to be quiet.
Before I begin, I'd like to speak to our audience members.
Oh boy.
I understand that this case has generated a lot of passion and emotion. But you must remember that this is a courtroom and not a sports arena.
Thanks, Becky.
When I announce my verdict, you must not act out emotionally or visibly or audibly react. So you should leave the courtroom if you believe that you will be unable to.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
I'd like to start with a few introductory words.
Oh, Jesus.
Let me say this. This is not in my script. This has been one of the more exhausting, hardest things I've had to do as a judge.
It was 4 days.
And
Get on with it, Carp. Christ. Look, he actually gets emotional. Kind of emotional.
As the lawyers know, unlike when a judge presides over a jury
disagreeing with myself at this point.
Civil case, there is no requirement that a judge explain their reasons for reaching a verdict after a criminal bench trial. I do so in this case because I think that Ms. Fitzsimmons, Officer Newman, and all the people involved in the tragic events of June 30, 2025 deserve an explanation.
I'm not feeling good about this.
Neither.
Next, I'd like to take the opportunity to publicly thank and commend the attorneys in this case. They all did an exceptional job presenting the evidence and conducting themselves in an extremely professional and civil manner. And they did so under the public spotlight in an emotionally charged case. I commend you. To the extent that any of the prosecutors and attorneys may be vilified or subjected to public scorn for simply doing their jobs, in this case, I say that any such scorn is unfair, unwarranted, and simply wrong.
Oh,
These
that's positive.
prosecutors and attorneys fought hard, performed their
That's positive.
jobs fairly with the utmost civility,
He's right.
civility and professionalism. They serve as a shining example of our adversarial system in operation. Now, I'd like to publicly acknowledge the crucial and often thankless role that police officers perform, a role that Ms. Fitzsimmons herself, like Officer Newman, willingly and selflessly performed for the citizens of North Andover. For this, you should be thanked, not disparaged. For those that think that serving as a police officer is easy, or that officers don't care or take pride in their work, I say with more than 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system that you are naive, misinformed, and sadly mistaken. The work of police officers is especially fraught with peril today because of our exceedingly cynical, polarized atmosphere, where our citizenry often believes that there is a conspiracy under or around every corner.
Same, Cassie.
I saw no evidence of a conspiracy in this case. What I saw was dedicated public servants like Officer Newman and his fellow officers doing the best they could under tragic, rapidly evolving emotional circumstances. What I also saw was a young woman, Ms. Fitzsimmons, who was also a dedicated public servant, react to sudden, confusing, and heartbreaking news. Now let me turn to the evidence and the law. Our system of justice requires me to decide this case solely on the law and the evidence. So the only things I had considered in reaching my verdict are the 98 exhibits admitted during the trial and the testimony of the 11 witnesses that testified here in open court. While it may be cold and uncaring, our system of justice
Bradle's knees. Yeah.
that emotion, sympathy, and concern for the consequences of my decision play no role in my decision.
You know if he'll sentence right here if she's guilty?
In order to
I think so,
protect
right?
Probably.
of the crime of assault by means of a dangerous weapon, the Commonwealth must prove the following three
I know, Cynthia. I have carpool at 2:30.
elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, that Ms. Simmons committed an assault on Officer Newman. Second, that Ms. Simmons intended to commit the assault. And third, that the assault was committed by means of a dangerous weapon. The sole issue before me
Not
is
guilty.
whether the Commonwealth proved each of these three elements beyond a reasonable doubt. And more specifically, under the circumstances of this case, the narrow issue before me is whether the Commonwealth proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Fitzsimmons pointed a firearm at Officer Newman for any perceptible amount of time.
That's right.
What is not before me are the legality of the issuance of the restraining order to Mr. Allen, the reasonableness of the procedure used by the police to serve the restraining order, the legality of Officer Newman's use of force, and issues regarding the custody.
Correct.
Here it
All
comes.
correct.
Here it comes.
It
Here
is
it
not my
comes.
place to decide these issues or even mention my thoughts on them. I am thankful for this because my role has been hard enough. What has made my job especially difficult in this case is that by and large, I found the testimony of Officer Newman and Ms. Fitzsimmons to be credible on the materials and relevant.
That's a not guilty right there.
In my experience, this is unusual and somewhat perplexing. On the one hand, Ms. Fitzsimmons credibly testified that she never pointed a firearm at Officer Newman. On the other hand, Officer Newman testified that not only did Ms. Fitzsimmons point the gun at him, that she also pulled the trigger. Both agree that it happened in seconds near a narrow doorway, and the crime scene photos
And it
show
should be not guilty.
the door frame was made narrower by a clothes rack containing police uniforms that was to Officer Newman's left. The door frame was also made, the door frame was made still narrower when Officer Newman used it to take cover when he threw his firearm. During the closing argument, the Commonwealth argued that it is scientifically and physically impossible for Ms. Fitzsimmons' story to be true because there was a bullet in the chamber, and she said that Officer Newman shot her without her ever racking the slide after pulling the trigger. I disagree that the evidence reflected that the only way to chamber a gun would have been to pull the slide under those circumstances. However, even if I assume that Ms. Fitzsimmons lied about not racking the slide, it does not detract from the adamantly and credibility of her testimony that she never pointed the gun at Officer Newman, about which he was equally as
I
adamant.
don't know what he's going to say.
Perhaps the Commonwealth
Not guilty.
could have easily met this burden if the officers had
If.
very body cams.
Ooh.
Under these circumstances, I am left with a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
And I am duty bound to find that the Commonwealth has not met its burden to prove.
Incredible.
Yes.
On Officer Newman.
Kelsey.
What a cogent explanation. That was incredible.
With that, I will hand the signed verdict slip.
Fuck yeah. Wow. Ooh, Noonan. I love this camera operator, by the way. Look at this. He goes right to Noonan.
And his stupid wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Look at
sure
her
she's not
fucking
stupid,
puss.
but her face is
Look at her
stupid.
puss. Yay. Okay. So I'm not going to make you guys sit through any more of that. Kelsey.
It
went on forever and it took forever and we were all just like chomping at the bit. But that was that. They did a brief little conference outside of the courtroom, which I can play for y'all. Although there really wasn't much in there. Maybe we'll skip that. You guys can, I would go watch the conference if you're interested in it. The one thing that really stood out to me is they were asking if there were going to be any other civil cases or anything like that. And Tim Bradle made a little bit of news because he said that because of the break-in at Kelsey's house that Justin and his buddies did, they had referred that information to the FBI. And so that there is apparently an FBI investigation ongoing. That's what Bradle said. So that was kind of big news in my opinion. The videos that I have to show you right now, which we're only going to do this for maybe another like 15 minutes. The videos that I wanted to show you, part of it comes from Microdots. Part of it's Kelsey's stepdad. Ruby is kicking me in the back. So as you know, Kelsey, or maybe you don't know, but Kelsey had over 200, I think, videos and texts and audio of Justin smoking. But this was like ring video, a lot of it was. But some of it she recorded on her phone, and some of it she recorded audio on her phone. And she has audio and video of him being like verbally abusive. She mentioned it all in her affidavit. And that's the only reason why I think maybe there won't be a problem with the wiretapping laws in the Commonwealth. Because everyone's like, oh, Microdots, it's fine because he got it from her dad or he got it from her. Um, it's still evidence, possibly in an ongoing probe and possibly family court. So I don't know how that works. I'm going to have to like do a little bit of research on the law. But Microdots use some of the audio in their video. And so I wanted to give you a glimpse into Justin's demeanor, which is terrifying to me, to be honest with you. And I definitely recognize the behavior, and it really sucks for Kelsey. Let me share this. Hold on. But definitely go watch the whole video on Microdots. It's fascinating. Okay, let's see. This is Mother's Day. FYI.
You're such a fucking terrible person. All I came up here to do is to fucking be with you and maybe fucking have any indication of fucking kissing it. Nope.
Kissing me.
You're
you
such
came
a
up
bad
here
person.
to yell at me.
Came up here to yell at you. You're a fucking terrible. You're yell at you.
Thank you. You did come up here to yell at me. That's exactly what you came here to do.
Sure. Can you put the light on, please, so I can get the fuck out of here?
You fell over in the bathtub. You fell over up the stairs.
Keep in mind, Kelsey is holding and feeding the baby while this is happening.
And you're embarrassed. And I called you out on it because I just want you to go to bed and wake up in the morning and go to your training. But all you want to do is insult me. So thank you. That's like super fucking nice. I'm sitting here rocking our baby and you say,
Kelsey, shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Amazing.
Still have our little baby in my arms.
Yep.
What an amazing
You're right.
guy.
That's the first time of me yelling, but only the 10th or 12th time of you doing that.
No, this is not the first time of you.
Can you please put a light on? 'Cause I am out of here. I'm not doing this. I'm leaving.
Good. Leave.
Please put the light on that you just had.
You're leaving after I just got you to maybe lay down and be able to go to your training.
I wonder if she had
Good for you.
Like not be drunk and go to your training.
Fine.
You'll what? Like I don't understand.
Can you put this on, please?
What on, dude? Like what is going on? It is the middle of the night. You're fucking freaking out. I don't get this. I do not get this at all. You fell in the shower. You slammed your head. You fell in the living room. You slammed your head. You came up here. You started freaking the fuck out, saying you're all done. You want to go home. Like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? What is the point in all of this? What are you doing?
Thank you very much, Kelsey. You have said a lot, and you have been very, very helpful.
I've said little to nothing. All I've said is I want you to lay down and go to bed so you can go to your training in the morning and not have an issue.
You know what? You are fucking brutal.
Okay. I'm fucking brutal because I want you to lay down, go to bed, relax, go to your training in the morning, and be normal.
Okay. So that gives you a pretty good idea of what's happening there. That was on Mother's Day. They'd had a few drinks. I think they had some champagne or something like that. Justin, from Kelsey's, the motion that she filed about inducements, about all the evidence she had of what happened when Justin broke into the house and everything he did. She detailed his drinking, which was happening on the daily, to the point where his hands were shaking when he wasn't drinking alcohol, which, as someone who grew up with alcoholics and knows the behavior, that is a sign of alcoholism. Another sign of alcoholism is that Justin couldn't get through a day at the fire station without taking a few nips off of the cooking wine that was in the kitchen at the fire station. He obviously has a problem with substances. He should not be a firefighter. He also shouldn't be the one who is able to take a woman's child from her, send her to prison. Well, he didn't send her to prison, but he escalated the situation enough that she got shot. It's terrifying to me that he was the one who was able to do all of that and that he was just believed with, they never talked to her. They never got her story. Crazy. The last video I wanted to show you. Well, first of all, I wanted to show you about the judge. Let me see if I can pull this up. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Let's watch this one really quickly. This is Microdots again. And then I'm going to show you her stepdad talking about the judge. Hold on.
To comply with the order, but physically could not. And on September 11th, Judge McCarthy Naiman heard the defense on Kelsey's breathing issue. Her conduct at this hearing would shock the public and draw far more attention to the case.
So I received a defendant's emergency motion for immediate release from this grant order. So I'll hear from the moving party.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Judge, this is an issue that causes Ms. Fitzsimmons a lot of pain. And I don't want to conflate her being able to pass the test because she's been passing them, but she has about 4 hours of pain and dizziness afterwards. And you know, I don't think anyone, and I know the court would share my thought that this shouldn't be a torture device for her. This shouldn't be something that causes her pain, impairs her rib healing, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, we're not trying to get any sort of advantage over anything. We just want her to not be in pain for hours after these tests, and B, you know, we just want her to not have the anxiety that if she has a difficulty doing it, that she's going to get a knock on the door and get locked up. You have Mr. January's email regarding his own observations about what happened.
Mr. January is Kelsey's probation officer who witnessed her struggling in pain to take the test. The defense submitted an email from him acknowledging the issue, and he is present in the courtroom for this hearing.
And, you know, I think that says it all. That's someone that has no bias or interest, and, you know, probation enforces court orders, and that's that. And he is telling the court this is a problem.
Okay, so you're asking the court to adjust the court's order that's been in effect for 3 days with no medical evidence to support your claim that she cannot do it.
Well, I think you have 2 affidavits and the email from probation. I think that's pretty persuasive evidence that this is extremely difficult.
The email from probation is not evidence. If you have any evidence, now is your opportunity to submit it.
I don't understand the court's position. That's not evidence.
Okay, it's an email. It's hearsay. Commonwealth, do you have a position as to the submissions of an email as evidence in this hearing to relieve the defendant, Ms. Fitzsimmons, of a condition that's been in effect for 3 days?
I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but we have the person who sent that email here.
Okay. So you have a burden, it's your motion. What do you want to do?
Well, Judge, I don't think that I mean, is the court saying that papers and emails and affidavits are not sufficient?
This is an email from a probation officer. The court gives that 0 weight.
The judge's determination that the email was not evidence would later become a central factor in her removal from the case. You can hear in attorney Tim Bradle's response that he's caught off guard by this.
Well, then you have an affidavit from Ms. Fitzsimmons and you have an affidavit from her mother of the physical observations of what happens. You know, I think it's self-evident and it's common knowledge that if you have broken ribs, that it's hard to breathe.
What evidence do I have that she has current broken ribs and that she's suffering from broken ribs at this time?
Well, you have an affidavit from her mother, you have an affidavit from Ms. Fitzsimmons, and the other day we were here, I submitted I believe I submitted the instructions from Mass General about broken ribs.
Okay.
You know, she's having great difficulty here. It's been observed by probation. It's been attested to by her mother, and it's been attested to by Ms. Fitzsimmons. So it's just a very difficult scenario for her.
The defense's request is not unreasonable, yet the judge appears personally invested in making Kelsey's situation more difficult. The probation officer speaks next about his observations.
She answered the alert to take the test as scheduled. Unfortunately, she was unable to complete the test because she was unable to blow as long or as hard as needed to complete the test. So we
I
also
just want you to
know
hear what the judge has
that-
to respond to this.
and I observed it firsthand, that whatever the injuries are, which I don't know, actually doesn't really matter to me. But when I was doing the installation process and observed what was genuine pain, like genuine pain. So
Any objection to any of the terms used by the probation officer? Okay.
So
she's
McCarthy Naiman invites the prosecutor to object.
Yeah, she's asking the prosecutor to object.
But he doesn't. Not even the man whose job
like,
it is to convict Kelsey appears as biased against her as this judge.
and she ultimately passes the test. That's compliance. If she had missed the test, and then that would determine whether or not there's actual non-compliance. This particular case, I don't deem non-compliance because she's complying with this scheduled program. I'm aware of.
Now, Microdots Richie is going to get into this, but keep in mind that this judge had ex parte communications with this probation officer. She took it upon herself to go down once this motion was filed. She went down to investigate further personally by herself this probation officer, and he didn't cooperate. He realized that what she was doing was wrong, and he didn't cooperate. She then reported the probation officer. And this is the judge they had recused before Judge Krupp came on. But she actually wasn't recused because a senior judge was like, oh, it's not a big deal. She's on a different schedule. She's not even supposed to be in criminal court. So you don't have to worry about her being on your case. Well, the issue is that she wasn't supposed to be on this case anyway. She was leaving civil trials to come over to insert herself into this case. There have been some rumors that she is connected to Noonan's family somehow. I don't know if that's true, but again, we have government officials in these towns in Massachusetts trying to put their thumbs on the scale. And in Kelsey's case, the judge put her thumb on the scale so hard that Kelsey was in prison for 100+ days right after being shot in the chest and taken from her 4-month-old child. Let that sink in. That's how much weight the judge and the cops and the district attorney have in situations like this. And that is not okay.
Of pain, based on my observations from the installation process. So as long as she's attempting to take the test, continues to attempt to take the test, and then ultimately takes the test, that's not non-compliance. That's someone that's,
Well, that's
for
your
me,
position. It's non-compliant.
Well-
It's really up to the court to decide whether somebody's compliant or not with conditions of release.
it would never be brought to court by way of a pretrial violation for an incomplete test with the information that I've talked about. So no, an incomplete test does not initiate a pretrial violation or from our end, because there are many reasons for a test to be incomplete. That's not intentional non-compliance. And the goal is to test to ensure that the person's sober, and we don't deem that non-compliance. We never have, and we never would in this case.
Mr. January deserves recognition here. Public trust in Massachusetts courts has been eroded by egregious conduct, like what we see from McCarthy Naiman. Voters are sick and tired of the corruption. So when a probation officer simply states,
okay, so let me
I want to clarify something. My email, and I know it's important.
Court is not tolerating any
Okay. Let me back up a little. This is when she starts to go the fuck off the rails.
way or the other, sir. We're here for one purpose and one purpose
Okay.
only. Anything else, Attorney Brown?
No, my objection, Your Honor.
Sure.
Just, I just want to clarify something. My email, and I know it's important that the court knows, I didn't make a recommendation that the scram condition be vacated. I never did that. I never suggested, it's all that email was.
Attorney, Officer January, nobody's asking you questions. Your testimony is complete. Are you asking to make a statement to the court?
Wow.
If the court's under the belief that I recommended that condition be vacated or removed, then yeah.
I haven't said anything one way or the other, sir. We're here for one purpose and one purpose
Okay.
only, and that's for the motion to vacate the scram device. So, Ms. Fitzsimmons is able to do the scrim. Is that correct? Or is she not able to do it? I don't know. Is she not able to do it?
I think, that depends on whether
So
the
you guys
court
get the
is willing
idea
to,
about this judge. Let's see if I can get the end of it.
to do this, if the court wishes.
Or Attorney Moriarty, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, I'm going to leave the bench for a few minutes. I'll be right.
The judge leaves momentarily to consider the request.
Court, all rise.
This is the end of the hearing.
Your Honor, we're back on the record with the Fitzsimmons matter.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I have reviewed everything again that's been submitted to me. And I will say for the record that Fitzsimmons has moved twice in a 3-day period to amend her conditions of release. Just days ago, the court concluded that the condition of remaining alcohol-free and submitting to scrim monitoring was necessary to ensure the safety of the community. After a thorough review of all of the arguments and submissions by the Commonwealth and Fitzsimmons, that conclusion remains unchanged, regardless of Fitzsimmons' claimed physical limitations. Based on an affidavit submitted by Fitzsimmons' mother, the testimony of Assistant Chief Probation Officer Jeff January, about his observations of Fitzsimmons' apparent pain during the scrim installation, and the representations of Fitzsimmons' counsel that it would be cruel and unusual punishment and torture to continue to require Fitzsimmons to comply with the condition of being monitored by scrim. The court concludes that Fitzsimmons cannot abide by the condition of being monitored by scrim. Without this condition, which ensures that she does not consume any alcohol, the court cannot assure the safety of Officer Noonan and all other persons in the community. Accordingly, the court's prior order of release is vacated, and Fitzsimmons is ordered to be held without bail pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 276, Section 58A. And a written order will follow.
May I address the court?
That's the court's order. Thank you.
All right, Jack.
She just
I
shut it
ask you
down.
to stay your order
He
pending.
needs to put something on the
Yes,
record.
JC. And there are other alternatives Your Honor can accomplish.
Kelsey was ordered back to jail.
This woman. We are not going to get to, or I don't have time because I do have to get out of here. It's 2:00 now. I've been on for 3 hours. And I have a ton of work still to do today, but we're not going to get to the justice served interview that I wanted to show you all, like at least parts of it. So let me see if I'll just put the link in the chat, but you should go watch it. It's Kelsey's stepdad. He goes on Justice Served to talk about what, is happening in the case and everything. Here's the link for it. It's in the chat. But one of the biggest bombshells that came out of, and in my opinion anyway, the Justice Served interview is that Kelsey's stepdad actually expands on what was happening sort of here in the court. And so when Kelsey was allowed to come back home on house arrest after this, one of the stipulations made by this judge, after the judge did some extensive research into Kelsey's family and their background, she decided that Kelsey's 19-year-old stepbrother, who lived in the house with her parents, could not live in the house if Kelsey was going to live in the house, or vice versa. So either Kelsey has to stay in jail or she can't live at this house. So her 19-year-old stepbrother had to move out of the family home in order for Kelsey to come stay with her mother and stepfather, based on this background research that the judge did on Kelsey's family. So there's a lot of good nuggets in the Justice Served interview, and tell them we sent you if you leave comments. We love their channel. Michael covered the case. He was in court all week, and he has an amazing voice. So go tell them that we love them. Go watch the video. Please comment on their video. And while you're here, please like and comment and subscribe and share our recaps and videos and live streams as well. Rebecca Lavoie is coming back tonight, and she and I will be back on the mic with you probably late Monday. It's going to be, I think, an evening stream on Monday. So I would look for probably 6 p.m. Eastern, around that time. But make sure you hit that notify me button when I put out the live stream notification. You should get updates that we're about to go live, or when we're going live, or reminders that we're going live. And I just want to say I appreciate you all so much. thanks to everybody who has been sending over tips and messages and support and suggesting new cases to us. I would love it if you would tell me what you'd like for us to cover next. We have a list of things, but we also want to hear from you. And what was the other thing I was going to tell you? Oh, I am still building the pod in the garage, and I'm covered in band-aids. This one's from a dog bite that happened before I came on the live stream. But I've really enjoyed hanging out with you all for the past 3-ish hours, and thanks for coming and hanging out with me, and thanks for being the greatest audience. And we're going to see you again on Monday. If you want to leave a tip, the QR code's on the top, the Venmo and Cash App are on the bottom. You can also become a member. You'll get free stickers, and we have a member discount for the merch out right now. And we're hoping to do we might make Monday a members only, actually. I'm going to talk to Rebecca. I'll let you know. Monday might end up being a members only because we've recapped this so much, but I haven't recapped it with Rebecca. So I want to like offer that to our members because you're probably sick of hearing about it. But you're not sick of hearing from Rebecca. So any chance of a non-trucker baseball cup? Yeah, I can make one for you, Rob. Let me know what colors you like and I'll put that together for you. And let me know if there's any specific logo you want on it. I'm too bald to wear mesh hats. Thank you so much for everything, everybody. And please go join the Facebook Something's Off with Mel Barrett and Rebecca Lavoie discussion group. We have lots of good combos over there. And we will see you back here on Monday. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend. I hope everybody's okay. If you're going out to protest, be safe. Don't mix it up with the cops unless I guess you have to. Yeah, just be safe. And if you are out there and things are getting hairy, make sure you write your phone number on your hand in semi-permanent or permanent marker so that if you do get arrested, you have make the number of your lawyer, not your own number. So you have the number to call if you get arrested. But try not to get arrested, but try to get out there and speak your mind and fight for your rights and be safe. And we love you and we appreciate you. We'll see you on Monday. That's all I have for today. I'll see you on the flip side.